Do. Good morning, Melinda. How are you? Hopefully you are doing well. What's up, Conchita? Hey, Sir Doris. Sir Doris. I don't know how you say your name, but hello, hello, hello. Know that I tried and didn't mean any ill will. Good morning, Farah. Thanks for sharing. Hey, Carrie. Good to see you as well. Folks, if you're joining me anywhere other than TikTok, please make sure that you say hi in the chat so that I can actually see that you've entered the room. Thankful Thursday. That's a good one, Conchita. Conchita, definitely. If you are speaking to me on Substack, I can't see your comments. As a matter of fact, I can't always see every comment, and I don't like it, and I don't know why. So, yeah, I might be switching tech soon again because I don't like it. Good morning, Sandy, Witch, Jamie. Good to see everybody rolling in here. I am trying to do something really, really quickly because, life is doing what it does. And I am trying to catch up. Good morning, Angie. Good morning, Jenny. Laundry Guy, good to see you. Appreciate you for requesting for balance, Jamie, already. Good morning, Christine. How is everybody? Let's pop this open over here in this world. Good morning, Lisa. How are you? Good to see you over there on the tube of you. So I need to, let me check this real quick. Oh, okay, that's me. I forgot I did something already. Imagine that. All right, so let's do a couple of things that I'm doing. Good morning, sunflower fish. So y'all, there are some glimmers. If you were with me last night when we watched the Roger Stone documentary, then you know that we were able to talk about a couple of glimmers that happened later in the day. One of them being that the confirmation vote for Todd Blanche was postponed today. It was canceled today because those key Republican senators decided to not get on board. And I do want to talk about that because I am grateful that those Republican senators aren't getting on board and that they are standing their ground. I also wonder why it took 18 fucking months for Congress to do what Congress is supposed to do. Like, Congress is supposed to be a separate but equal branch of government that determines that helps kind of hold the line, if you will, as to the kind of society that we are functioning in. And I'm kind of ticked that it has taken this long, and which is why I want to talk about the cost of a second term and the GOP. And yes, we can add the Democratic Party in there as well. However, I think that we have to do it like in a way that is logical, in a way that makes sense, right? So if I want to talk about the cost of a second term, can I talk about the impact that the Democratic Party has had and where they could have done things better? Sure, I could. But that's also like watching a trauma victim come in from a massive, level one car wreck, and they've got a chest flail and a fractured skull and a ruptured spleen, and then you want to talk about the broken big toe that they also have. Like, that to me is the equivalent of having that conversation. So can we add the things that the Democrats have done and are doing there? And so that I would equate that to like a domestic representation. Foreign, globally speaking, we can add more. Sure, right? Sure. Sure. Then it kind of elevates things a little bit. But yes, I do want to talk about that. I want to talk about it for women. I want to talk about it for immigrants, Black and brown people as a whole, because it's just really important. And I woke up today feeling really kind of, ugh. I know that, and I don't like waking up feeling that way. However, I saw a story that really kind of made me, I think and it's not like this is the first story that I've heard. Um, it just really has me thinking about where we are and what people are willing to do and what people are willing to overlook. Good morning, Tim. How are you? The things that people are willing to overlook is wild to me. It's astounding to me. It's offensive to me, to be honest. And I know, that we're not supposed to be offended, and that if you're offended, it's your problem. And you're correct. It is my problem, which is why I'm working diligently to do something about it. Good morning, Letty. Good to see you. Um, So anyway, so things that we're going to talk about today, we are going to go back and we're still going to talk some more about the flock camera situation, and we are going to talk about immigration and detainees and forced feeding and all of that. We are going to talk about this administration and the difference between today's administration and the administration of the very first time that Trump was in office. And we're going to talk about the guardrails that are no longer there. Why is that important as we approach midterms and as we approach a second presidential election following his stint in power? Because I think a great indicator as to how someone behaves is their past behavior. It's not the only indicator, but would you agree with me that it is in fact an indicator about what you could expect from someone, right? 100%. And I'm going to really, really ask you all on this side of the aisle and TikTok to do something for me today. I'm really going to ask for you to put your blinders on and to not give into the rage bait. I'm going to ask you to put your blinders on today and ignore the fuckery that is in the chat and allow me to deal with it so that we can kind of stay on track. Johnny, that's not accurate. The majority of Americans didn't vote for this. That's just simply not true. No, it's not true. And if you want to discuss election results from 2024, feel free to join my panel. I doubt that you will, but feel free to do so. Just saying. Good morning, Coronian House. So you know that the very first 30 minutes to an hour that I'm live, that is when you will get the most of the rage baiting and the most of the trolls. Because why? A lot of it is bots. A lot of it is bots. A lot of it is AI. Thank you, Sage. And so whenever I go live, that's what we get hit with first thing, right? So it's important for you to know that, understand that, and be smarter than the machine and not feed into it. They eventually die down, and we don't get a lot of that the remainder of the live, right? So again, it's really important, folks, that that you don't fall prey to that. All right, give me 1 second. Lots of things happening across the board. So, Dog Mom, I don't say those things, right? So, could you do me a here's my thing. The problem, and I want to be very clear about something. Good morning, Michael. The President of the United States is a problem, right? His presence, yes. Thanks, Jeff. And the President of the United States is not the only problem. We have a significant issue with the members of Congress and our legislators across the country, period. That reminds me, I need to talk about school boards. 1 second, y'all. I have to make myself notes to ensure that I cover the things that I desire to cover. So there has to be, the conversations must always be about the intersectionality of the issues that we have. Okay. And that is everything from the president to give me a second, Shawnee. To talk about the intersectionality of the President of the United States, the role that he plays in all of these things, the role that Congress plays, the role that Israel plays and Bibi Netanyahu plays, the role that AIPAC and other super PACs and lobbyists play, along with the role that we play as a society, and then last but not least, the role that in the United States of America, the church plays. And yeah, so the Heritage Foundation, but the Heritage Foundation it's not them by itself. So they are the face of a lot of what's being published. But if you really look at Project 2025, there were over 50 organizations that joined together to make that document, to develop that project, right? So the number of lawyers and previous government officials and people, policymakers and lobbyists that were involved in creating Project 2025 goes far beyond just the Heritage Foundation. And so we have to talk about that, and be very, very specific. Generalities, I believe, hurt us, and so I want to speak in generalities to make a point, and then specificities to drive that point home, and to make it real for people to understand what we're actually dealing with and what we're actually facing. Um, so give me 1 second, folks, as I pop on in here. I am attempting to make sure that these kiddos are good and I am good and all the things. I got you. Hold on. This is like one of my best friends on the planet, who just found out that her mom has cancer. So give me 1 second. I figured that's what she would want. Okay. Dom's orientation was fantastic. He goes to get his hair cut and stuff like that, as well. So almost done. Hey, Lucid. Yeah, well, you made it on time because I'm late as hell, and it kind of is what it is, right? Which is okay. Good morning, Hershey Kiss. How are you? Okay, I got you. Okay. So she is asking me to check out some things. And here's the thing, folks. For me, if you all don't know this about me, I've talked about the importance of being your own advocate or having someone that can advocate for you when it comes to healthcare, especially. And there have been changes to CMS, as you know, even with hospital compare and things like that. And so that's what she's asking me to do for her. So I'm going to do that for her. So she's sending me information. So sorry for the beep beeps. I still can't get over this little coffee thing. Well, good morning, Celtic. CMS, Centers for, did I say CMS? Thank you, Cam. CMS, yes, Centers for Medicaid, Medicare and Medicaid Services. That's what it is. I just said CMS, like everybody know what I'm talking about. Centers for Medicaid and Medicare Services. Yes, that's what I was referring to. Yep. My bad for not being clear about what I was talking about. Okay. Are you meowing at me, Titan? He's being very vocal this morning. Very, very, very vocal. All right, son, give me a moment, please. Un momento, kitty cat. Good morning, Georgia. We missed you too. Good morning, Teresa. Good to see you as well. I don't know what I just hit, but I wish I didn't hit it. Yeah, he's being very, very vocal. Give me 1 second, son. I know. Yeah, I have to get some more because I'm out. And then I'm probably going to need to get my lungs checked because I've been like this for a good ass minute. maybe most of the summer and haven't gotten checked. Probably not a smart thing. But kind of is what it is. Okay, can you guys give me 1 second? Let me feed Titan and I'll be right back. I promise. Sorry. 1 second. It won't take me but a second. And you'll still be able to hear me even if you can't see me. Um, but I just need to feed the kitty cat, guys. I need to feed the kitty cat. There you go, bro. Okay. All right, I'm back. Okay. Yes, your mind's more patient than your three. Yeah, I don't know that I could do three. Maybe I could do three if I didn't have 3 grands, right? But I think having 3 grands and Titan, like that's my cap. I don't think I can add any more to that. So listen, folks, do me a favor. If you're new to me, put a 1 in the chat. I'm going to let you know kind of how I run things in this space as I get ready to open up the panel. Okay. So number one, I ask that folks be respectful. I love that. Yeah, Titan's a rescue too. He's a neonatal. He's a neonatal rescue. Yeah, candy kiss, whatever, man. Okay, so listen, be respectful in here. Do not use slurs of any kind. Um, do not use slurs of any kind. I might be able to do that, Shawnee. It might be tomorrow that I talk about Medicare Part D. And Appreciate you, Carla and Cam. So listen, be respectful. Don't use slurs of any kind. Don't spam my comments. In other words, don't say the same thing over and over and over again. And last but not least, do not type in all caps because all caps are reserved for my moderators and my folks that are vision impaired. I have people in this community with visual disabilities. So be respectful of those individuals and don't type in all caps. Got it? That's it. Other than that, we can have the most robust discussion ever. I'm just going to require those things of you, and if you don't provide them, and I get tired of you not providing them, then I might return your energy. I try not to, and I usually don't, but sometimes I do. So just know that that's the space that we're in today. Okay. All right. Great. Stokes, where'd you go? I clicked to add you to the panel and it doesn't look like you're there. So this is also another reason why I go over the guidelines before I open up the panel, is so that people know before they get on my panel how to behave. It doesn't always root out the fuckery, but a lot of times it does. What's up, Jay Nice? It doesn't always root it out, but a lot of times it does. What's up, Dad Jokes? Been a minute. What's up, Dizzy? Okay, so I'm almost finished doing this for them. I'm getting myself some peppermints. You know what I actually wish I had right now? A big ass cup of coffee. So that's what I wish I had. Like a butter pecan latte with oat milk and light whip from Dunkin'. That would be amazing. But I don't. So it is what it is. Yeah, I'm not going to get one right now, Mama Dukes. I literally have so much to do. I have this live with you all that is going to be approximately 3 to 4 hours long. And then I have to go pick up all the school supplies that I ordered and bought that they got ready for me. And then I have to take my daughter to the dentist. And then I have to go get the kids' shoes and whatever. And then I've got tonight, we have Project for the People meeting. And so before that, I've got to get graphics done. So I'm probably not going to go get the shoes for the kids until tomorrow. But you know what I mean? So it's a lot of things in the moment. I don't have it. You know what? I might, but I don't want any. If I'm being honest, Jay Bird, it's not just about the pick me up. I just don't want the black tea. Am I going to rest today at all? The answer is no. And I'm pissed that I overslept this morning. Not pissed. I'm just like not happy that I overslept because I needed to not oversleep today of all days. That's all. Today I needed to not oversleep and I did. And before you say anything, yes, I know that means I'm tired, but whatever, man. Got shit to do. A lot of things that are super important to do. Oh, I know what Bella needed. Yeah, Todd, I am. It's not always conducive with what I need to get done, though. How about that? Um, for those of y'all, if you are someone that sent things to me, they will like that. If you sent something to me for me to pass on to the Pallies, I transferred it into my account yesterday, and when I get off this live today, I will use their links and send it to them. So I appreciate you all doing that, and I will make sure that they know that it is from you when I forward it on. Okay, just so you know. All right. So very quickly. All right, y'all ready to dig into this thing? Okay, so just fair warning for a potential trigger warning because this might hit a little heavy. Okay. Um, I want to talk about the family in Guatemala. Okay, Jamie, sounds good. How many of you all are aware of a family in Guatemala that was deported and now found deceased? The 14-month-old baby survived. Most of you are, some are not. Okay, well, we're going to talk about it um, because I think that it's worth talking about. We absolutely should talk about it, right? And let me finish this real quick, and then we're good. I'm literally taking care of the kiddos while we do this really quickly. I need to do this and take this off. And am I good now? I am. Oh, shit. I didn't even look. Hold on a second. Can I change anything about this? Because oh, well, that's decent. Okay. All right, I'm back. Okay, so I got you, Jamie. All right, so let me share this with you all, and let's talk about it a little bit because this, to me, is part of the cost of this second term. And I want us to talk about people and as human beings because I believe it to be incredibly important. Let me ask really quickly. Always my grace, dad jokes, and Leonardo. Did you mean to request up? Before I get into this story, did you all mean to request up to the panel? Always my grace, dad jokes, and Leonardo. If you meant to request up, please put a heart in the chat for me. Okay. Got you. Thanks, dad jokes. Got you. Okay, cool. Folks, when I bring you to the panel, put yourself on mute until I get you. Gotcha. No problem, Grace. I don't know what's going on. This is the second time that I've clicked for someone to join the panel and then it's not happening. So Leonardo, if you meant to request, go ahead and request again. I already clicked to add you to the panel and for some reason it didn't connect. And sometimes that happens. Good morning, young boomer. Good morning, Bentley. Good morning, Lisa. No, Mama Duke's not when they're already in the queue. So like they're in the queue. So that means they've already requested. So all I have to do is accept. And that doesn't matter whether they have a private account or whether they don't. It only matters if they have a private account if I attempt to bring them in. Thanks, Indigo Willow. Appreciate you. What's up, Nwanda? Does that make sense, folks? Does that make sense? So over here on YouTube, Facebook, Substack, Twitch, how many of you all are familiar with this couple in Guatemala that was found deceased after the United States of America deported them? Good morning, Stacy. And the 1-year-old, I believe the baby was 14 months old, was actually found alive beside them crying. They were discovered with their hands tied behind their backs in a sugarcane field. So we're going to talk about that because this is a family that is now parents. These are parents that are deceased because we deported them. And so I want to talk about it. And I want to talk about deporting people, whether they are undocumented or illegal, or unauthorized or undocumented. I want to talk about that because they are not the same things. And then I want to also talk about like why. All right, so it looks like folks have started requesting, and I'm not sure if they mean it. Can somebody check showing Alta to see if that account is in the US and if they're requesting up for a reason? Redwood Dragon, did you mean to request up? And yes, that is me letting Paulo Santo because it's that kind of damn day. Hello, Shirley. Matter of fact, I'm just going to sit that right there and pull this forward. This is not a deportation issue. This is a Guatemala issue. It is a deportation issue if we sent them there. If we deported them and this, and hey, happy girl. So it is. Hey, Rosalind, good to see you all as well. So it is. And so, yeah, me either. Thanks, Carla. So this is the thing that's really important. So let's just be clear about something. When you say this is not a deportation issue, this is a Guatemalan issue. So two things can be true. Guatemala can have an issue with organized crime, which could be why people immigrated to the United States of America, which would be why they were seeking a specific immigration disposition here. And so if the United States of America deports them and then they end up victims of that crime, then that absolutely can be a coexistence of an issue. And what we don't do is diminish or negate one part of that issue and only focus on the other. And I understand that polarity is effective for some people, right? When you want to act like that these binary options and that, are just, how we have to talk about things. And I disagree. And I'm not going to talk about things from a binary or a specific issue. Well, no, Sophia, you can say that. Here's what I would say, though. In the United States of America, our immigration process is my issue because I am a U.S. citizen. Therefore, I care, and I'm allowed to have an opinion and thoughts and votes when it comes to immigration in this country. Period. So here we go with the rest of the information. You ready? So a Guatemalan man who was deported from the United States and his wife, who later left the country voluntarily to join him, were found dead in a sugarcane field in southwestern Guatemala, authorities said on Tuesday. Their 1-year-old daughter was found alive beside their bodies. Nixon Giovanni Perez, 43 years old, and Glendy Mirasol Gonzalez, 25, were discovered with their hands tied behind their backs in a field outside of Redajulias, a city about 112 miles west of Guatemala City. And so this was just the other day. Yeah, you're disgusting. I'm just saying. Guatemala's prosecutor's office said in the statement that the couple's infant daughter and their 2 other children were placed in the care of relatives. Local media reported that the couple had been reported missing the previous week. The deaths highlight the risks and challenges faced by some immigrants after deportation from the United States. The couple's troubles began last year when Perez and his brother were detained by immigration agents in Overland, Missouri, on their way to roofing jobs. Perez, who had fled violence and poverty in Guatemala, was deported last year. Gonzalez self-deported to Guatemala in recent weeks to join her husband. Representatives for U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement and Overland Police did not immediately respond to requests for comment. The Missouri's Worker Center said it will hold a vigil on Sunday for Perez and Gonzalez, who was a member of an immigrants' rights organizing committee of the workers group. Quote, Glenda came to our FORZA meetings 3 weeks after giving birth. She was working 2 jobs, bringing new members, showing up even as her world was being torn apart. In June, to protect her daughters and keep the rest of her family together, and fearing that she might lose custody of the girls, Glendy made the impossible decision to go back to Guatemala, even with an asylum court date set for 2027. Nearly 32,000 people have been deported to Guatemala in the first 6 months of 2026, according to UN data. That is a 47% increase from the same period last year. More than 90% of deportees were sent from the United States, and the rest were sent from Mexico. Guatemala's government, which attributes a wave of murders that spiked over the last week to organized crime, on Monday announced a plan to strengthen the country's security measures, right? This is going to be your opportunity, Fila. Your opportunity is to join the panel. And if you choose not to do that, I'll end up muting you because you're not actually like engaging in conversation. Great. I love that you joined. So good morning, Fila. What's your age for TikTok purposes?
Well, I'm 55.
Okay, great. So at 55 years of age, do we acknowledge when we talk about issues that are happening on a national and a geopolitical perspective, that there are points of intersectionality where one singular thing is not the cause of an issue?
Okay.
I'm asking if you agree with that.
Wait a minute. What do you mean is one singular thing is not the issue? What do you mean by that? I'm sorry, I didn't quite got what you said.
Yeah. So what I said, because you said you're 55, correct?
Yeah. Correct.
Okay. So you and I are almost the same age. So my question to you is, at 55 years of age, do you agree that that we have if there's a singular event that has occurred, okay, that it is very rare that there's a singular issue or a singular cause or a singular contributing factor to that issue, right? And that there are multiple points where these things come together and oh my God, I've completely forgot the girls have orientation. Fuck my life. But these things kind of go together. So there's more than one thing, right?
Yes, of course, yes. There are multiple issues, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So when we have conversations about these types of things, do you feel that it's productive to simply make a statement like, this is not our fault, this is such fault? Because when you do that, you're making a very binary choice statement that it either has to be the fault of the United States of America or the fault of Guatemala. When in fact, if we want to be honest about the conversation, right, there can be issues with Guatemala and their ability to handle organized crime. And at the very same time, there can be issues with our immigration policies, especially under the current administration. Can those things coexist, be true together, and all be contributing factors to the death of this couple?
Well, to a certain point, I mean, come on, let's be fair here. I mean, we can't go around and patrol everyone. And
that's not what I said. Why would you say that?
I know
Fila, hold on, stop it. Fila, wait. Why would you even say that?
Well, why do you feel like we're responsible?
No, stop for a moment. Listen, okay. What did I say that said we should go around patrolling everyone? I didn't say that. So stop it.
Well, you said that,
I didn't say that. Here's what I said. Okay. Here's what I said. And I'm going to require that you actually listen to what I said and not come out with these analogies that have zero to do with the conversation. What I said is that there is the existence of multiple contributing factors, right? And that to present them as if it's the fault of either this or the fault of either that, right, is not helpful because it's not accurate.
But I feel like you're putting us on the top of those faults. That America's on the top.
Share with me what I said, because I'm not responsible for your feelings. I want you to share with me what words. I want you to share with me what words I said that placed our responsibility at the top.
Well, because you're using deportation as one of the major factors why these people lost their lives.
No, I didn't. I acknowledge the deportation is how they ended up back there. And if I live in the United States of America and I am a U.S. citizen, I do not control, nor do I have any impact on the Guatemalan government, correct?
Have you ever been to Guatemala?
Listen to the question. Listen to the question. Nope, you're going to answer my question first. As an American citizen, right? I live in this country. I'm a U.S. citizen. Do I have any control or any impact in the Guatemalan government? Yes or no?
No.
No, I don't. So if I'm going to talk about an issue that has happened and there are multiple factors of the issue, is it wise for me to focus on the part of the issue that is relevant to me and where I live?
I think you're using multiple words here to kind of prove your case.
No, I'm not. I'm asking you a question.
That's what you're trying not to keep this very simple.
Because it is very simple. Because it's not complicated.
Your narrative, so
it's not a narrative. No, it's not a narrative, Fila. Listen, it's not difficult. Here's the thing. If there is an issue that has happened, right? If there is an issue that has happened, okay?
Yes.
And there are multiple contributing issues. Is it wise that I focus on the part of the contributing issues that are relevant to me and my life and that I have the potential to have an impact on? Yes or no?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Okay, great. So when I talk about the impact of deportation and our immigration policies, specifically around how this couple ended up dead in Guatemala, I'm not attributing blame greater to one area or another. I'm literally addressing the part of the problem that is relevant to my country, acknowledging the other points of intersectionality. I just can't do anything about those other places.
I know. I have my own theory as to why this happened. I saw it and it was disgusting what happened there, but it's something that's very common that happens in Guatemala and just about every part of Central America because of their problems with the gangs. Most of the gangs fled El Salvador because of Nayib Bukele's control, and they decided to migrate to Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua. So they're all over the place, and of course those organizations exist on extortions and and just crime in itself. So that's very common in those areas. I am Salvadorian, so I'm very familiar with those issues.
Yeah, my son-in-law is El Salvadorian. Listen, Fila, my son-in-law is El Salvadorian. I'm very aware of the issues as well.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is what I said. And I want to be very specific about it so that we understand. These individuals were here in the United States of America seeking asylum. Yeah. Right. So can you share with me?
Because I don't know. I don't know their situation. I'm not sure.
Well, you said you saw the story. The story talks about the fact that Glendy had an asylum case scheduled for next year.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay.
Just about like everybody who came here seeking asylum.
No, that's not true. The vast majority of people so tell me this, can you tell me what percentage of people that come to the United States seeking asylum are denied?
Oh, I'm pretty sure there's a big percentage of people who have been denied asylum case.
Do you know what percentage of them even get admitted to seek asylum cases? How many of them are turned away at the border? Because you do know that when you seek asylum, you have an initial interview process that is done. Correct. I know. I'm correct. I know.
Yeah.
So not everybody. So that would mean that your statement is a fallacy. Not everybody that comes here seeking asylum has a court date that gets established.
And you would agree that most people also have the possibility of lying, right?
So here's what I would say. When you say the possibility of lying, that would be true for everybody, including the American citizens, right? The possibility of lying. Here's what I also know. I also know that there's a threshold that must be met when people claim asylum. And it's not just about what you say. You actually have to provide documentation. Are you aware of that, Fila?
Did you have to prove the documentation of seeking asylum here?
Yes, you do.
What kind of documentation can you prove?
So you don't know. So you're not familiar.
No, I don't know.
Okay. Yep. So no. Yeah, it's actually true. So so you're talking to somebody who has had actual Border Patrol agents on my panel, who has also had immigration attorneys on my panel, right? And talked about this very process. So when they come in, they just don't go, "Oh, I'm seeking asylum because things back home are horrible." That's not the case.
Okay.
They actually have to provide a documentation that demonstrates that there is a reasonable threat, and it has to meet the criteria of asylum. And do you know what the criteria for asylum is?
I would say one of them is it's fear for their lives.
Based on what though?
On threats.
Right, but it's based on certain things. So just for everybody that doesn't know, so it must fit. There are protected grounds. So your fear or your harm must link directly to one of 5 things: either your race, your religion, your nationality, your social group, or your political opinion.
Okay.
So it has to fit one of those things.
Right? And all those have to be proven. Either one of those has to be proven in order for you to be qualified for asylum seeking, right?
Correct. So this is my point to you, is that it's not some willy-nilly process. Well, people just go, "Oh, I'm here seeking asylum," and we just go, "Oh, great, you're in, you're good." That's not the case. So you have to fit one of those protected groups. You must have a credible threat that is established based on one of those 5 groups, right? You have to file your Form I-589 within 1 year of your arrival in the United States. If you were safely in a prior country before coming here, then you could be denied for asylum. That's called safe third country, firm resettlement. If you have any other crimes or felonies from other country, and by the way, we actually have a system, an intelligence system that where we have a database that coordinates with other countries, right? Is it perfect? No, but we do have a way of verifying the criminal status of people that are trying to enter into the country, okay? And so that is what happens when you're seeking asylum. So you have to actually go through a process. And so there's an initial screening that takes place before you can even move on to the second part. And so that's what's really important for people to understand. So what we can acknowledge is that when someone has an asylum case that's pending, and they end up back in Guatemala, right, because their husband was deported, and then they end up dead in a sugarcane field, whether it is common in Guatemala or not, isn't really the issue.
What do you think happened? What do you think their asylum process was declined and they were deported?
It wasn't declined. That's my point. So for him, he did not get his asylum case. She did get her asylum. He was deported. So, and I think that,
self-deport, I believe.
can I?
It's just self-deport.
So she self-deported to be with him because he was already deported.
Correct. Yes. And you know why he was, according to what I heard, why he was.
What you heard or what you know?
Well, obviously, I mean, I can't reassure that, but what I heard, the reason why he got deported. How about the DUI?
We don't deport over DUIs.
Oh. So DUI is no longer a crime?
DUI is not a felony in and of itself. In and of itself, we do not deport over DUIs. It is a non-gossip. And I would ask you, have you pulled up the criminal records? So let's just do it. Let's do it together, because that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do Nixon, Giovanni Perez, 43 years old. And I am going to see, whoops.
I'm out there. What happened to him is disgusting.
Yeah, but I don't do theories. And this is the part that's really important. So listen,
status in Guatemala.
So listen, okay. So again, I want to make sure that you understand this, okay? Because I like facts and I don't do theories and I don't speculate. Okay, I don't speculate. So let me just give you additional facts, okay? Because it's very important that people understand that someone having a DUI does not lead to you getting deported. DUI is simply an addiction issue, right? You have a substance abuse problem and you are driving. It is not a violent crime unless you actually unalive somebody, which there's no evidence of that. So whether or not he was convicted of a DUI is irrelevant to his deportation.
What state was he arrested in? Or was he caught with DUI? So I think that matters, right?
No.
It doesn't matter. DUI is DUI everywhere.
Yes.
Oh, I have to look into it.
Okay. Well, I mean, I have. He was in Missouri.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. And they were driving to their jobs in April of 2025 in Overland, Missouri, when they were pulled over by ICE agents. They were told that there was no warrant for their arrest, but that they were being detained for lacking legal status. Mm-hmm. So again, that's the question that I'm asking you. And so you say you have a really strong opinion, but not a lot of access to facts and information. You just have your theories and your opinions based on what you heard.
Oh, of course, yeah. Because that case is very premature.
What do you mean? Not the deportation. The deportation is premature. The deportation is not premature.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean Nixon was deported. Nixon was deported a year ago. Nixon was deported a year ago. His wife self-deported to keep their family together, right? Just a few weeks ago. And then they were found dead. So that's what we're discussing. And so and here's what I would say, Fila. You are literally making my case for me, because for you to say, so I want you all to understand something. For your perspective to be, it's very common for this to happen in Guatemala. You are making my case that means that it is a dangerous country from which they came to seek asylum because they feared dying. You're literally making the case for their immigration to the United States of America. Your response is that, oh, it's very common, is part of the problem.
Yes.
And so because we know that is why it's relevant that our immigration system.
Do a better job with their security.
What?
Don't you think that Guatemala has more responsibility over something like this? They have to do a better job taking care of their citizens, providing for them, make sure those citizens.
So do I live in Guatemala, Fila? Fila, do I live in Guatemala?
Why does it have to be a U.S. fault all the time? Like, that's what I don't get.
So Fila, the United States is responsible for our portion of the circumstances that happened. And so here's the reason why. The reason why is those people got to our country. They were participating in our society. They were working in our society. They were contributing in our society. They were a part of our communities. They were contributing to our GDP. We created conditions. We created a situation that we sent them back. We did that. That is why I am now focused on the United States of America. Had those individuals never come to the United States and they had always been in Guatemala and they had been killed by organized crime there, that would be horrific. And yes, Guatemala should absolutely do something about that. However, I would not be discussing it because they would have never been in the United States of America and been forced to leave. Does that make sense? And we have deported nearly 32.
Getting into it, they knew that
What?
Right. I mean, I don't get what your point is here. Like, what does deportation has to do with anything? You think keeping them here, would have done any bad? Like, would it?
Yes, keeping them here would have kept them alive. Yes. How do I know that? Because they were here prior and they were alive.
Yeah.
Yes. What I know for sure, right, for certain, is that had they remained in the United States of America, they would not have been found dead in a sugarcane field in Guatemala. Yes.
Okay. How about this? Let's play another scenario. They would have, the whole asylum seeking process would have been accepted. They would have gotten maybe a temporary green card. They would have gone back to Guatemala.
What?
Same outcome.
What?
Let's say that the whole asylum case had been approved. They would have got a temporary residency, or they would have been temporarily legalized. They would have gone back to Guatemala.
No, they wouldn't. You don't go back to Guatemala under asylum. What are you talking about? When you are granted asylum, you don't go back to your country.
Yeah. No, I know. I'm saying, like, but after a year, 2, 3, 4, 5 years,
you don't go back.
You would have the same outcome.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
Stay with asylum. Right?
So listen, Fila, I know that you're not trying to tell me what the asylum process is because you didn't even know before. Exactly. And I have already explained to you that I do. And no, that is not the case.
And most people are seeking for legal residency in the United States, right? I'm pretty sure that was going to be their case too. They were seeking for legal residency. In the United
you're
States.
Pretty sure. How? So share with me how you're pretty sure. Based on what? You're pretty sure based on what? Your extreme lack of information about the case?
No, based that I'm Hispanic, and that's what most Hispanics are seeking in America is to be.
So wait.
Legalized.
So you speak for all Hispanics? You speak for all Hispanics?
I could.
I don't think that you can. I'm Black and I don't speak for all Black people. I'm Black and I don't speak for all Black people. And I've already explained to you that my son-in-law is El Salvadorian. He doesn't speak for all Hispanics.
Well,
no. No, you don't.
I speak to a lot of Hispanics and that's what they're seeking.
Okay, so here's the thing. So Fila, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Whether that's what they are seeking or not, you don't know the complexities of their individual cases. You don't know what their cases are. You don't know what their cases are compiled of. You don't know what their court system is like. You don't know what their court dates are. You don't have any information. You're speaking in generalities with a significant lack of information and expertise about the subject matter. Correct. Exactly. So this is what makes you dangerous, is that you're running around with a mouth full of opinions based on nothing but your own thoughts and a lack of information and expertise. That's crazy. Yeah, I mean,
you want to hear my theory?
No, I don't. I don't want to hear your theory.
Okay. Oh, interesting, right?
Yeah, it is. You are correct. I don't want to hear your theory because it's just based on your opinion. No, listen. So let me explain, Fila. Let me explain. I don't want to hear your theory because it's just theory. So, yeah, and let me share with you why. I'm going to be very specific. So when I want to listen to someone's theory, because there's all different types of theories. There are substantiated theories. There are evidence-based theories. There are theories based on expertise and empirical data. Your theory is based on none of that. Your theory is based on your common knowledge, right? And that's it. So no, I don't want to hear your theory because it's not relevant. I want to hear facts. Yes, baby.
Yeah, I'm basing my theory on things that happen very common in those countries.
Yeah, so Fila, you don't. So listen, again, you keep want to talk about what's common in other countries, and I'm telling you that is why people have valid asylum claims. So what we are discussing is the immigration system in the United States of America that played a role about in this deportation of this country, this couple, and others. Yes, baby. Come around here so I can see you, please. Come around, Mila. Come right here so I can see you. One moment. Come here.
Yes.
Let me see. You know what you need to do. So this is the thing that's important, folks. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. It doesn't mean, and I respect your right to have your own opinion or your own theory. It doesn't mean that I have to respect the opinion or the theory when it's not rooted in facts. And it's not. If your opinion, so like Fila, if you actually had any fact-based knowledge of this particular case or asylum seeking or the immigration process, then we could have a different conversation. And I would be more willing to listen to what your thoughts are around the possibilities of whatever. But the reality is, and I know that there are a lot of people on TikTok that do that. I know that there are a ton of people that just want to argue about what they think about a thing. I'm not doing that. That's a waste of time. I want to talk about the actual facts, right? And the facts are there is a case to be made for asylum seeking. Glenn D had an asylum court date set for next year, right? And she's self-deported to keep her family together because we already deported her husband last year. And we racially profiled them. That's all we did. I stopped them on their way to a roofing job. There were no warrants for their arrest. There were no warrants, right? And if there's no warrants and they haven't committed a crime, then they don't have the legal right to stop them. And the Constitution applies to everyone in this country.
Correct.
What?
Yeah, I really have to look into the case as to why he was stopped.
Did you just say that it's incorrect that the Constitution doesn't apply to everybody?
No, of course not. No, the Constitution applies to everyone.
Yes, it does. Correct.
I'm a firm believer of the Constitution. Yeah.
Right. So when ICE stopped them with no legal grounds and with no warrants, they violated his rights. They then detained him. They then deported him back to Guatemala, where he has now deceased. He has now died.
See, that's kind of sketchy for me to, I hear that a lot, that ICE was just driving around, they just happen to pull somebody over. I never had ICE stop me, and I'm Hispanic.
So? I have Hispanic family members. I have Hispanic family members that have been pulled over. You are not the representation of everyone Hispanic.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, you're not. I know Hispanics that have been pulled over by ICE.
Okay.
Right.
And let's say that's the case. Yeah. I mean, do they have any legal right to ask for documentation?
No, they don't.
If they choose to?
No, they don't.
They have to have a probable cause to pull you over, right?
Correct. You have to have a warrant, and you have to have and probable cause mean you have to have committed a crime.
Okay.
Right.
I don't
let me give you something. So when you say it hasn't happened to you, how familiar are you with the Kilmar Abrego Garcia case?
Not 100%, but I got details from TikTok. I haven't really dug into it. I'm not much interested about his case.
Well, why not? Because there's a component. So let me just share the reason why I'm asking you that, because there's a component of his case that is similar to the component of this case, and that's why I ask you that. Right? So in Kilmar Abrego Garcia's case, they showed up at Home Depot where they were waiting for work. Okay. So, and they were addressed simply because they were a group of 4 Hispanic men at Home Depot looking for work.
Well, let me ask you something. What do you think immigration should operate?
What do you mean?
You think immigration should do an operation?
What do you?
Are they allowed to operate anywhere or conduct any immigration raids?
Immigration has been operating for decades in this country.
Correct.
Right. But what they are doing today is not what they have historically done in this country. So they can operate raids. What they can't do is violate the rights of people.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you mean violate their rights? How? How so?
Like I just said, stopping you without probable cause.
Okay. I really have to look into ICE's requirements for detaining someone.
Do you know?
I'm not sure this is the same as the LAPD.
Do you know when ICE? No, they're not, because ICE are not police officers. They do not have the same ability to pull someone over. They're not police officers. They do not have the same legal rights of police officers. No, they don't. Do you know when ICE was formed in this country, Fila?
I think it was 2016, right? I think
2003.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and it was formed after the Homeland Security Act of 2002. Do you want to know? Can you hazard a guess as to why? What happened in 2001?
The Twin Towers, September 11, right?
Correct. Yeah. Yep. After 9/11. So we functioned as a society. Quite well with immigration before that. Let me ask you something. Out of the because today's numbers are estimated to be around 13 million. But in 2022, we definitively know for certain, according to the Department of Homeland Security, that we had approximately 11 million unauthorized immigrants in this country. 11 million. If you were going to guess, out of that 11 million, how many of them arrived here prior to 2010?
I have no idea. To be honest. I have no idea.
Okay, thanks for saying that. About 8.8 million of them. Only less than 3 million of them arrived after 2010. This story that there's this massive invasion of unauthorized immigrants in this country is not accurate. And it's not based on facts. Do you want to know where I got those numbers, Fila?
I think the most accurate numbers you could get is from the census.
Nope. Actually, you get it from the Department of Homeland Security. So when you look at, so let me show you, because a lot of people, especially folks that are unauthorized, they don't participate in the census because they don't want to be deported, right? So no, the census would not be accurate information. And not only that, a lot of Black people don't participate in the census because they have a lack of trust in the government, which continues to be an issue. So you can laugh. I'm telling you facts. So this is actually from, hold on, I'm finishing. So this is from the Department of Homeland Security. And these are the unauthorized immigrant population residing in the U.S. And this is 2022. This came out in 2024. So when you go, the very first thing that it does is it tells you what the definitions are between legal residents and unauthorized immigrants. Unauthorized immigrants are anybody that doesn't have a legal permanent status in the U.S. So DACA, temporary protected status, refugees, asylum seekers, any of those people are called unauthorized immigrants because they do not have a legal permanent resident. If you're here on a visa, you still do not count because you do not have permanent lawful status. That's according to the Department of Homeland Security. So when we talk about these numbers and we talk about unauthorized immigrants in the country, right? We are not talking about people that are undocumented. We're talking about unauthorized. And if you look, these are the numbers. After 2010, it's been 2.3 million up until 2022. Right? So the vast majority came in the 90s and in the first decade of the 2000s, directly following 9/11, as a matter of fact. So when you understand that, right? When you understand that, then you're able to get past the divisive political rhetoric because you're not talking about what somebody says. You're not talking about what somebody thinks. You're talking about the actual facts. And those facts help you be able to. What?
Won't you say it would better to rely on this? Wouldn't you say it would be better to rely on the census?
No, I just told you. There's a lack of participation in the census.
But don't you think it's important that we have a census?
I didn't say not to have a census. I said not to rely on the census for immigration information.
Okay. I just think it's very important.
I didn't say that it wasn't. I did not say that the census was not important. What I said is that you should not rely on the census for immigration information.
Okay. Well, okay.
Sure,
I'm
Laura.
about to start work. So
Yep.
It was nice coming up, and thank you for your time.
Yep.
And I wish you the best.
Have a great day, Sheila.
Have a good.
So, folks, this is the part that is really important, is for people to be able to kind of digest facts versus opinions, and to be able to get past just the political divisive rhetoric. I'm just saying, I would think that would be something we should all aspire to, is getting past those things. All right, so folks, when I bring you up to the panel, do me a favor, put yourself on mute until I get to you, please. And remember to observe the 4 very simple things that I ask for in this space. And those are: be respectful, do not use slurs, do not spam the comments and say the same thing over and over again, and don't type in all caps, because I have folks in my community that are vision impaired. And all caps are for those individuals and my moderators only. So just be respectful of people with disabilities. That's it. Okay? Put yourself on mute until I get to you, please. So there were 2 other people that were in the request that I accepted your request, and then you went away. That's happened several times already today. So if you requested and then for whatever reason it didn't connect, just reconnect. Okay. And let me just say this to the individual that has requested, with the name Problem Child and 4 followers: you will not be joining the panel, because I'm not a fucking idiot and I have no desire to be mean to myself. No, thank you. Good morning, Bajan. How are you? Barely. You got a lot of background noise.
Okay, one second. All right, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make a quick comment on the young man that you was talking to earlier regarding the whole Guatemala thing.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people have this preconceived notion that these countries got to the condition they're in because of their own demise. If you look at the history of, and I don't know why people don't do a lot of research, look at the history of South America and look at the reason for the conditions of South America, how they got there. They got there because of the U.S. and the conditions that people are in today are because of that. If you look up the history of Guatemala, for example, and a group called United Food Group, while the Guatemalans wanted to take them out of the country, and what the United States State Department did to them when they wanted to kick United Food Group out and live off their own land, make money off their own land, because the people was living in poverty. The United States the State Department, CIA, went in there and overthrew the government that was trying to give the people back the power to their land. So these countries didn't get to this state that they're in now and wanted to come here because of their own government. The United States went into those countries, destroyed those countries, and those people had to find a way out, and they came here.
Yeah. So very briefly, what he's talking about is about United Food Company. United Fruit Company, which we look at for our bananas. So the same way that the United States of America used the CIA to destabilize Iran, because Britain wanted to maintain control of its oil, we did the same thing. We helped organize a coup in 1954 in Guatemala because the company, United Fruit Company, owned 550,000 acres, which is about 42% of Guatemala's land. They paid very little taxes, and it was under these government deals. Okay. It built like little isolated, segregated towns where the people that worked for the company lived a shit ton better than the rest of the country, right? And the country, Arbenz, in 1952, that happened. And our bonds, the reason they don't like our bonds is because they began taking back that unused company land and giving it to poor farmers. But the company lobbied the U.S. government and used communism, big surprise, as a justification for organizing a coup and overthrowing the government of Guatemala in 1954. So, just so that everyone understands, in 1953, the United States of America overthrew the democratic government of Iran so that we could install the Shah, so that the Brits could keep control of Iranian oil. And in 1954, the CIA also did a coup in Guatemala to ensure that the U.S.-based company, United Fruit Company, could maintain its massive control of Guatemala and their banana industry. It's now known as Chiquita. So Chiquita Brands International is the United Fruit Company that is responsible for the coup that we did in Guatemala, so that they could keep control of somebody else's resources. So Vajan is correct.
Yeah, I just wanted to put that point out there because a lot of the people in this country have no clue how immigration works. They have no clue how I don't think critical thinking or looking back on history, you have a computer in your hand every day. You can look at these things and research these things and find out. And comments, you look at the history of the United States. They go into country, destroy the stabilization of the country, and then the people want to come here to get some type of, some not being danger, and then they want to know why the people coming here. I'm like, it's the same playbook for every single country they go into.
Yep, 100%. Yeah, he's accurate. And folks, so there's I'm trying to find it really quickly to see if I can locate it. But there's a quick little video. Maybe this is it. Let me see if I can. You're gonna have to listen over here, but if I can find it for you guys over here, then I will. I'll play it. So TikTok, you know how TikTok is about me playing videos. So give me a second, and let me share this with you. All right. So, hold on. It started playing already. All right. So here we go.
They once overthrew one of the most beloved presidents in Latin America. CIA once overthrew one of the most beloved presidents in Latin America. It all started with a banana company. Early 1950s, Guatemala was thriving with land reform, infrastructure, and a real chance to end poverty. But while the country was rising, one American corporation was quietly panicking. United Fruit Company controlled massive amounts of unused land. President Jacobo Arbenz wanted to return that land to the people. For the first time, farmers could dream of owning the soil they worked. This dream threatened U.S. corporate profits. United Fruit did not negotiate. They went straight to Washington. With heavy lobbying, they painted Arbenz as a communist threat, and the CIA launched Operation PB Success. In 1954, the CIA armed rebels, ran psychological warfare, and forced Arbenz to resign, ending Guatemala's democracy overnight. All to protect corporate interests, not national security. The coup pushed Guatemala into decades of military rule, civil conflict, and fear. A once prosperous nation was derailed for generations, showing how foreign influence can reshape the destiny of millions. This was not just history. It became a blueprint repeated across the world. Power, profit, and propaganda can topple nations.
So that is just one of many videos that you can find on this here internet that explain what happened with United Fruit Company, now known as Chiquita Banana, and Guatemala. So it's the same way. So Operation PB Success is the same as Operation Ajax, which is the name of the CIA coup that overthrew Iran and their democratic elected leader, Mohammad Mossadegh. So thank you for adding that in, Bajan, because it's
No
important.
problem.
All right.
No problem. But thank you for your platform. I watch you every day, so
Oh.
I just want to say thank you for bringing positive information and valid information out there. And you have a great day.
Thank you. You too. Have a good one. So how do we know the video is true and not propaganda? Oh, because I can show you the CIA documents. Hold on one second. I got you. Okay. So I'm literally going to show you right now the actual declassified CIA documents because the United States of America does this quite a bit. We wait a very long time and then we declassify. So we released these documents in 1997, just so you can see. So Operation PBS Success, I'm at CIA.gov reading room docs, right? So the website that I am on is literally the CIA's website. This is the document. It was released as sanitized, which means this is the view that they have provided for you to read. It's been cleaned to present it the way that they would like to present it, but this is the real deal. So the sweet smell of success. Look at that. Here's the timeline. If you go to page 97, let me just, and this is it. This is the Eisenhower administration. Under the Eisenhower administration, we did Operation Ajax in Iran. We did Operation PB Success in Guatemala. Yeah, these are facts, folks. They might be uncomfortable, right? They might not make you feel very proud of what the United States of America has done, but they are facts. It's literally on the CIA's website. Guys, if you just type in CIA documents, Operation PB Success, you'll find it. The one for Iran is already in my link tree. I will add this one to my link tree as well. Give me 1 second. Okay. So, hey, Mimi, in a little bit, Tutu's going to get you ready. You have orientation today for school. You want to go see what your kindergarten class looks like? You want to go meet your new teacher? One second, folks. It's almost finished adding this to my link tree. Yeah, today's not first day of school. It's just orientation. Yeah, she graduated pre-K and now starts kindergarten. So I'm going to add CIA Guatemala Q doc. And I will put this, so there's a whole section in my link tree around CIA documents. Here you go. I'm going to add this document with those other CIA documents. Give me 1 second. My link tree is pretty extensive, so it takes it a minute for me to move things around in here. I actually need to create a second one, I think. That's Iran. That's Epstein. That's the coup in Iran. So there's a section called U.S. interference in foreign governments. that section of my link tree, you will find a CIA document that was also released, which has the alleged assassination attempts of foreign governments by us. You will find another article, 10 times the U.S. government helped overthrow a foreign government. And then I just added the CIA Guatemala coup document to that as well. So those are all there in the link tree. Okay, so, all right. Let's see, what is this? So, Roger, let me just, so I don't like misinformation on my page, Roger. So I'm gonna have to change that ability. I don't want to block you, but I do want to handle that comment. No, we're excited, Gumps. We're excited. Give me a second. I just want to clean this up real quick. Thanks, Yvonne. Appreciate that. I'm not sure what question you asked, Veronica. It depends on if my daughter is able to. How many coups has the U.S. completed? There's one article that's in there for you to review. It's more than 10. There's 10 in that one article, but it's more than 10. Oh, what does it represent? I got you. So give me 1 second. I'm multitasking, y'all. As always, I just need to take care of this one comment that is here. Because here's the thing, I'm very particular and protective of my space, because a lot of times there are people who will want to come to my space and share information like in the comments that isn't accurate or that could be misleading. And I don't like those things. And so I don't let them stay up. And what's crazy is that I unfortunately have to do that with things that come from the White House, because we are living in a time where, regardless of what you think, the White House does not always put out accurate information, and it puts out things that can be proven to be incorrect, sometimes that are inflammatory and misleading. And so I do not do White House press releases on my platform or in my comments, because this particular White House cannot be trusted to put out accurate information. Salam, Shami. So yeah. The background. The background represents flock cameras and the mass surveillance that is taking place in this country. A lot of it is directed on tracking women, right? We talked about that yesterday, and the fact that flock cameras were accessed to track a woman from Texas all the way to Illinois for getting an abortion, for seeking reproductive care. The water, all of the coins represented in the water, is the massive amount of unaffordability that we have, and the rising and the increase in cost. That's what that represents. So yeah, a lot of symbolic imagery in here to represent the cost of a second term. So for me, this image reflects not all of it, but a good piece of the cost of what we are now experiencing for having a second term with Donald Trump and the GOP and the majority. So if you weren't with me yesterday, I shared with you all a story. And here's the thing that's the most alarming. So for whatever reason, I talked about Fauci yesterday. I can talk about Fauci again today. So give me just a second. So for whatever reason, all of this happened more than a year ago. Okay. All of this happened more than 1 year ago. Congress was aware. I covered it very extensively yesterday about the flock cameras and the woman in. Yeah, I covered it yesterday. I'll go over it again for you guys. But yeah, so give me 1 second. What I really would like. So this was an article in The Guardian about flock cameras. And what I did yesterday, because I don't still have it up, oh my geez, oh Pete. Hold on, I want to find the specific document. I shared a document from Congress yesterday. So just so that you all know, the U.S. Committee on Oversight and Government Reform sent a letter specifically to, it is in one of the 99 tabs. They sent, this is it. Okay, so I'm gonna read the government. Document. Okay. So listen, what's bothersome about this is that big people like Brian Tyler Cohen and all of these folks are just now talking about this when it happened a year ago. So the document that I'm reading is from Congress, the Committee on Oversight and Government Reform. It is dated August the 6th of 2025, and I'm going to show it to you again. Okay. I showed it yesterday, but it is part of today as well. So this letter is to Garrett Langley, who is the CEO of Flock Group in Atlanta. Their office is off of Howell Mill Road, and I'm telling you that because it's literally on this paper. And here's what it says. Dear Mr. Langley, we write regarding reports that federal and local law enforcement officials are using license plate reader technology operated by Flock Group to wrongly track and to potentially harm people in concerning violation of Americans' privacy, freedom, and civil liberties. Recently, local authorities in Texas reportedly used Flock's automatic license plate reader technology to conduct, yes, Jaybird, to conduct a nationwide search for a woman they claimed had a self-administered abortion in Texas. As part of this search, Texas law enforcement appears to have reviewed footage for more than 83,000 automatic license plate reader cameras, including cameras in Washington State and Illinois, where abortion is lawfully protected as a basic right. Tracking a woman across state lines for this purpose and allowing authorities in anti-abortion states to violate the freedom and privacy of people in states that protect abortion access is a gross misuse and abuse of surveillance technology, and could result in the prosecution of women who travel to seek necessary reproductive care. ICE agents have also reportedly used Flock camera to track immigrants, improperly accessing license plate data in states and localities with laws or ordinances in place that prohibit the use of their resources to assist with the arrest of law-abiding undocumented residents. Given the vast amount of data collection by Flock cameras and the enormous potential for abuse, it is critical that Flock, law enforcement entities, and state and local governments are transparent and accountable for how this sensitive data is accessed and by whom. Flock operates thousands of cameras across the country, which capture detailed data about license plates and vehicles. It does not just read your license plate. If you have bumper stickers, if you have stickers on the windows of your car, if you have identifying details on your car, that is also observed by the cameras and notated and collected as data information there are some Flock cameras that also have facial recognition software in them. These cameras are marketed as tools to solve crimes, such as speeding or kidnapping. Automatic license plate reader technology can help law enforcement respond to Amber Alerts, collect tolls, or identify stolen vehicles. Despite these lawful and even beneficial uses of automatic license plate reader technology, there are mounting concerns that it could serve as a mass surveillance system that can track Americans' every move. When attempting to locate an individual using Flock data, officials are required to provide a reason for their request. It is not clear whether law enforcement is required to provide a warrant or a court order. On May 9th, 2025, an officer from the Johnson County Sheriff's Office in Texas provided, quote unquote, had an abortion, search for female as his reason for using Flock's national lookup feature to search automatic license plate reader data captured across multiple states. So this search reportedly covered 6,809 Flock networks, which includes more than 83,000 cameras. One of the precincts that was accessed by Johnson County Sheriff's Office through Flock's national lookup feature was the Mount Prospect Police Department in Illinois. According to the Mount Prospect Police Department, it was not made aware prior to opting into the national lookup program that doing so would allow other law enforcement agencies who utilize the program to search the Mount Prospect data without a data sharing agreement. So in other words, they opt into a national lookup tool, but they did not have a data sharing agreement. And they were unaware that by opting in to use the tool, that meant there was an automatic data sharing. The Mount Prospect Police Department asserted that using Illinois data to track a woman who had accessed abortion care amounted to quote unquote misuse of its data, and has since opted out of the national lookup program and revoked out-of-state law enforcement. It might not have been in the fine print, Desi. That's the point, right? So we can't make an assumption that they didn't read the fine print. It might not have been in the fine print. Okay. And they have since opted out of the national lookup program and revoked out-of-state law enforcement access to the department's license plate reader data. Illinois Secretary of State Alexei Genealius has reportedly characterized this search through Illinois data as illegal. Illinois is one of the dozens of states that protects the right to access abortion care. States that have chosen to protect access to vital healthcare services should not be forced to aid other states in prosecuting people who access such care. Notably, individuals cannot choose. They cannot choose whether their license plate data is collected and scanned by Flock. This data is captured as individual members of the public go about their daily lives, traveling on public streets, and reportedly then becomes accessible to local officials from unrelated jurisdictions across the country. Members of the public are not informed, and they have no opportunity to opt out or protect their privacy. It appears that Flock is allowing its automated license plate reader technology to be used indiscriminately to track and collect personal data, infringing on individuals' privacy rights, and by allowing law enforcement to track and prosecute them for the simple act of accessing healthcare, exposing them to danger. There's more in this data. In this letter, it talks about logs that were obtained by 404 Media that describe approximately 4,000 immigration-related searches nationwide, including in Illinois, California, and Virginia. Some of the searches say things like quote-unquote ICE fugitive or CBP, raise the question of whether law enforcement agencies are using Flock's data system to pursue efforts, quote, beyond its original purpose of criminal investigations and locating missing persons, end quote. Because that was the stated original use of Flock's data. Now, what this committee did was they requested that the CEO of Flock respond back to them by August 20th of 2025, so almost 1 year ago. And nope, that's different, J Girl. When we are talking about Ring cameras your phone cameras or your television. You are now talking about surveillance technology like Pegasus. That is not the same thing as Flock. They are two separate Big Brother surveillance systems and technologies, but they are not the same. They are also a horrendous problem, but they are not the same thing. So what you could do is you could contact the Committee on Oversight and Government Reform, and you could submit a FOIA request, and you could ask for what information was provided to the committee by the CEO of Flock. You could ask if hearings, because there was a briefing that was supposed to happen by September the 8th. And so these are things that you can FOIA, that you can request, and to see kind of what's happening. So this letter, like I said, it was a year ago. The fact that it only has become public and widespread public awareness a year later is a problem. And I'll tell you, here's the other problem for me. One of the reasons I think it is a significant issue is, and because here's what, and this is just me making a personal assumption and observation. I believe that, or I won't say I believe. It is, to me, it is reasonable to believe that the only reason this particular piece of information is being pushed at this point in time and being raised to a national awareness is because we are 96 days away from the midterms. And that's they want to use it. And I don't know about you, but I am tired of seeing my rights and my existence in this country as a fucking political tool. I think that if members of Congress knew about this, they should have been screaming it from the fucking rooftops for the last year, not just in the last week. And this is, again, why I say it is imperative that we continue to have individuals that run for office to challenge the people that are the establishment. I am tired of seeing these issues used as a political agenda instead of being addressed as the real significant issue that they are. Exactly in the middle. I'm very sick of political theater. 100%. Give me 1 second. I'm just... So you all are literally talking to an account that has 12 followers and is following 13 people. And my question to you would be, why? Why? Like, we don't know how to address the bots. Good morning, Irvette. So, I think that it's really important that people get serious about where you are politically and what your role in the country is and is going to be. And here's what I mean by that is it is 100% up to us whether or not we stop the fuckery that is happening in Congress. Congress is the key to stopping the fuckery in the Supreme Court and in this administration and any other administration. And so you just have to get to the point where you understand that you don't get to be here. It is. And if you want to discuss that one, we can do that. It is. When we have three separate but equal branches of government, the branch that we, the people, have the greatest influence and power over is Congress. When it comes to an administration, the only influence you have is who you elect as the president of the United States. That's it. The individuals that are appointed under that individual, you don't get to control. right? But do you know who does control the people that are appointed by the administration? Congress. Yeah. I think what I'm going to do is, there you go. So, Jason, here's what I would like to invite you to do. Jason, if you would like to have a conversation and contribute to this live, then join the panel. Other than that, you've been muted because it's a distraction. You're not really talking about the things that are relevant at hand. And so I would love for you to feel heard. And the best way for me to allow you to do that is to give you an opportunity to actually come on the panel and engage in a productive conversation and an exchange of ideas and information. So you're welcome to come to the live on the panel. Yeah, Farah, I'm not going to watch it. I will watch it later. So, folks, listen. The reason why I am not watching the Nolan Wells press conference right now immediately is because I'm not sure that there's going to be any other. Yeah, but that's not relevant. So Golden Star, number one, the individual that was deported to Guatemala wasn't from Texas at all, and did not have 3 DUIs. So this is the thing. The last press conference that was had regarding Nolan Wells was not very helpful. It left us with more questions than it did answers, and it sent a ton of people all around the internet into this wide speculation of misinformation, and that was a problem for me. Who's holding the conference, the press conference, you guys? Yeah, it's not going to be anything. Yeah, so it's Ben again. Nolan Wells is the black boy in Mississippi who went on a 4th of July outing on a boat with other friends who all happened to be white. They returned home without him. He was then found dead, deceased on the island, and that's that. Right. And what I said is that a single DUI is not a felony. Yeah, I have too, Cam. I know, Veronica. So here's my thing. Okay, so I hear you. It's a story that people are interested in. And this is probably why I don't have a million followers, is people are interested in a lot of things that aren't helpful to us when we are 96 days away from midterms. And that becomes the challenge. And if there was significant information to be able to give people, if there was information to provide to people that would provide some clarity around Nolan Wells, then I would be happy to cover that. But the truth of the matter is, we don't fucking know anything, right? To my knowledge, the state has not released its autopsy report, right? If the state had released its autopsy report and the lungs and the anterior neck structures had been released to the other independent medical examiner to finish and complete their autopsy, then amazing. That would be great. But autopsies typically take 3 to 4 months on average. Yes, they did, but the independent autopsy is incomplete. And my thing, listen, folks, regular autopsies, especially when there is uncertainty, take 3 to 4 months to get everything back, including your toxicology reports, including all of those things. So the state still has the anterior neck structures. The state still has his lungs, and they are waiting for the toxicology reports. So even this independent autopsy, for me, it was done prematurely. I can't tell them when to do it or when not to do it, but it was done before they had all of the information. So typically speaking, an independent autopsy is done after the initial autopsy is completed, and there is a cause of death listed and something to be questioned. Right now, we don't have that information. Hey, Nance. And to me, one of the most potentially harmful things that we have are issues that are important, right? That can be utilized and manipulated to be distractions. Because in and of itself, Nolan Wells is not a quote unquote distraction. All of the press conferences and all of the information before there's actually facts to be discussed can be used to distract us from the other issues that are actionable and important in this moment. He is important. What has happened is important. The history and legacy of that particular coroner's office, that medical examiner's office, it is important, right? And they want to keep it in the forefront because, to be quite frank, we have 96 days before the midterms. And if we're being really frank, right, the things that need to happen regarding this case in Mississippi are not national. This is a Mississippi issue. Is it indicative of, and does it represent the national issues that we have regarding racism? Of course. Of course. But if you do not think that there are people that are using this boy's death to distract people from the really significant issues that impact us, that have to do with this damn midterms, you're living in La La Land. Because they are. Listen, if you want to see something happen nationally regarding systemic racism in this country, then you might want to get serious about who you're voting for and who you're putting in office. If you want to see something happen nationally with regard to immigration or education and the schools that your children attend, you might want to get serious about elections. If you want government accountability for the fuckery that is happening in this country, if you want to do something about our Medicaid and our Medicare and our Social Security and our SNAP benefits and our public housing, then you might want to get serious about who you're voting for in the elections and who's running for office. Because that's where your greatest ability to promote change exists. So, Michelle, I would love to talk to you. If you could join the panel for me. I sent you an invitation. Michelle, could you accept the invitation? Appreciate you, Sharon, for becoming a guardian. Thank you. Those are always so beautiful. I love them. You don't do lives? But you're in a live. What do you mean you don't do lives? I'm not asking you to come on camera. What is the difference between you audibly having a conversation and you typing words in the chat? Can you share with me what the difference is between those things? Thanks, Tina. What's up, Gabe to Babe? Good morning, Tootie. Toodle. Sorry. It's easier to type, but it's more difficult to have a productive conversation. Right? So when you say it's easier to type, it's more difficult for everyone else to engage into a meaningful conversation. Let me just say this, folks. And so since you are declining to join, I'm just going to address the statement that you made. And then I'm going to bring, I see you. There are 3 of you all that are in the chat that I will bring up to the panel. So listen, if you are going to come into my live and say things like, we're in the end times, the very first thing that I'm going to say to you is that is absolute foolishness. Do you want to know why that is foolishness? Because the Bible clearly states you don't even know when the end times is going to be. Period. You don't know when Jesus is coming back. And I have been hearing that we are in the end times since the fucking 80s, when I was old enough to know what the end times are. AIDS happened, it was the end times, right? Y2K happened, the internet happened, it was the end times. The Twin Towers happened, it was the end times. I have heard it is the end times my entire life. And the end times is a religious excuse to not get off your ass and do the work that needs to be done to create a decent society today. I'm going to say that again. The end times argument is an excuse to sit on your ass and not do the very hard work of creating a society that is worth living in, that we deserve to have right now in this moment. And it irritates me to see people use Christianity and use religion as an excuse to make people apathetic and make them check out while we live in the world that we are living in, when children and the elderly are hungry, when disabled people do not have access to healthcare and resources, when women are being tracked and monitored and dying when they don't need to because they have reproductive healthcare issues. It absolutely irritates me to my living soul. You know what? For those of y'all who say things like, it's the end times, you act like the Bible doesn't say you have dominion over the earth, because it does. And so here's my question, since we're going to talk about scripture and we're going to talk about Christianity, and you're supposed to have dominion over the earth, tell me, what are you governing? What are you determining and dictating and creating on the earth that you have dominion over? Or are you sitting on your ass crying about there's nothing you can do about it? I asked her to, Cleo. She does not want to. Can you turn it down a little bit, baby girl? And then I need you to pick out an outfit to go to school. Okay, sissy? All right, folks, when I bring you up to the panel, put yourself on mute until I get to you, please. Whoops. I don't know what TikTok is doing, but it is doing something. That's for sure. I am, Scotty. I actually have to get something to drink. So I just accepted 4 people to the panel, and only one of them is actually on here. I got you, Michael James. James, you need to say something if you want to load all the way in because you're not fully loaded onto the platform.
Okay, you talking?
Yeah, I was talking to
Right.
you. Yeah, you're coming up black on my screen.
Hello.
Hey, rejoin James, because I can't see James. Okay, now you've loaded all the way in. Yeah, I just now see him, y'all. Just now. It took that long. TikTok is acting crazy. I know it was just a black square, but okay. James, you can come back.
Is that better?
Yep, that's better. Yep. All right, James, what would you like to share?
You ready for me?
Yep, I'm ready.
Okay. All right. The cost of the second term is almost insurmountable. I mean, it's going to take years for us to regain any respect in the world related to us being what we used to be in terms of our respect around the country, around the world. It saddens me that there's still so many people who don't recognize the destruction that's going on. I was thinking to myself that I'm a Democrat because I know what I need to do as an individual to make or earn the money that I need for a good living. But at the same time, I care enough about others that I want there to be policies that care for the poor, care for the elderly, that care for those who have not made their way to benefit from the opportunities. So that's why I'm a Democrat. I recognize there are Republicans who think more individually, and that's their right. But it's so much that we deserve as citizens of the United States that we don't get. One of the things that boggles my mind is that I feel like there should be free education up until a bachelor's degree, which means that you would have an educated population. And then with free healthcare, you would have a healthy population that would pay taxes longer. So I don't see the downside of spending your money, tax money, on either of those things. And certainly when people say, well, when you give away something free, people don't work as hard. Well, the issue is we already have a system in place that we only pay for a person to take a class, and you can't keep retaking the same class on the government's dollar. So the Pell Grant, you can only take a course once and use Pell Grant funds. So I think there are policies you can put in place for people who don't do what they're supposed to when they're given the free opportunity for education. So, I just think the Democratic Party, like I wish Bernie Sanders had been younger. And had he been younger, I would have been more inclined to vote for Bernie Sanders and what he was fighting for.
Every time I talk to you, I'm reminded of the lens through which you view people, right? And it's a very judgmental lens. And here's what I mean by that, James. So your use of the Pell Grant as an example of policies to put in place for people who, quote unquote, don't do what they're supposed to is wild to me, because you act as if the only reason someone might fail a class is because they didn't do what they were supposed to, and therefore they don't deserve a second opportunity.
No, that's not what I meant.
Can I?
No, I was saying. Okay, go ahead. No, I was saying that some people suggest when you give away something free, people don't value it. I was just saying when people use the Pell Grant, if they don't pass the class the first time, then they can't use Pell Grant funds to retake that class. So that policy makes sure that they realize you got to pass your class. So no, I wasn't being. I mean, I used the Pell Grant when I was a college athlete, so I was on a scholarship. But there were times when I was able to get Pell Grant funds. So it's not that I think that only people. I think anybody who qualifies for the Pell Grant should use it.
So I'm going to repeat what you said the first time, and I'm going to ask you this go around to not interrupt me, because I didn't interrupt you.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
So, you absolutely can use the Pell Grant to retake a class that you failed, but that's not even the issue that I'm discussing. What I'm discussing is your verbiage, because your verbiage indicates your thought process and your thought patterns, your belief systems, and your belief system. When I listen to your verbiage, because people's verbiage tells me a lot about them, their choice of words is important. It gives you a glimpse into how they think and how they feel. And so in your example of the Pell Grant, even though it's not accurate, in your example, what you said was there are already policies in place to keep people from using government funds when they don't, to make sure that people do what they're supposed to do. Those are your words. Do what they're supposed to do. As if failing a class is always indicative of someone choosing not to do something they're quote unquote supposed to do. You don't give room for learning disabilities. You don't give room for trauma. You don't give room for mental health issues. You don't give room for just life circumstances. Like literally a lot of the verbiage that you use is that if people do not achieve something, then it is because they did not do what they were supposed to do. We had this discussion when we talked about the people that you have quote unquote let stay in your home and given help to, right? We've talked about that. You have a very and I'm saying this based on the many conversations that you and I have had. You have a perspective that you view people through. The lens through which you view people's performance is based on this expectation that you have. And if they don't meet that expectation, then your view is always judgment upon something that they did not do. It's very blame them for their circumstances type of language and thought process. And number one, it's wild to me, especially coming from an educator. Like you are a retired educator. And so it is wild to me to see this type of perspective and this lens applied across the board in so many different ways, right? And so let me just say this. There is enough money in this country and in the world that we can ensure that our children have access to fully funded, accurate, excellent education, even if they have to take a class 3 times. It exists. And what I am tired of seeing us do is make these funds available for the ultra wealthy and the ultra rich with no requirements for their performance. Corporations get seed money and research money, they blow it. I'm tired of seeing us give billions of dollars to fucking banks and then continue to bail them out when they still don't manage them properly. I'm tired of seeing us bail out corporations over and over and over again, but we do not demonize them when we have to bail them out. We do not criminalize them when we have to bail them out. But I'll be damned if we do not penalize and demonize and criminalize poor people when they don't perform to a certain level. I am tired of seeing that double standard. I am tired of seeing rich executives skirt the system, right? Have their corporations commit fraud across the board, and the federal government just enter into a settlement with them, but never criminally punish the people that do it. What I would like to know, James, is why is your mindset regarding lower income individuals more harsh than it is for billionaires, millionaires, and corporations?
I don't think it's more harsh. As an educator, you've given an opportunity to take a class, and when we speak of the Pell Grant, I'm not sure, based on my understanding is, and I've been on work for a college at Valencia Community College, that if you use federal funds to take a course, you can't retake that course using federal funds anymore. You have to.
Yes, you can. I'm literally looking at it.
That course yourself.
I'm literally looking at it. I'm literally looking at it right now on this here internet. Yes, you can.
Okay. Well, I think that I would disagree with. Not only in a high school environment, I recognize that there are just people or individuals who don't prepare themselves to take tests or do the work necessary to pass courses.
Listen at you. That's what I'm telling you, is you are so judgmental. You're not doing the work necessary. You have no consideration for people as individuals. Like, you lack empathy, James. You are not an empathetic person.
I do have empathy.
No, you don't.
I do have empathy.
No, you don't.
Empathy has to come with responsibility. I mean, I had to reject.
No, it doesn't. Empathy has nothing to do with responsibility. Empathy has nothing to do with responsibility whatsoever. Empathy says, I empathize with you as a human being. And this is the crazy thing. You only give people consideration if they meet your expectation. That's it. If people do not meet your expectation, then you do not have empathy for them. They don't deserve that. They don't deserve that opportunity. That is not empathy. It is the exact opposite of that. You do not have empathy, James.
Well, I humbly disagree. I do have empathy for people, but I'm not going to handicap.
See, there you go. No, I told you this before, James. I told you this before, James. I told you, James. Hold on for a second. Time out. I told you this before. The last time we talked about you helping people, okay. I asked you to stop helping people because your help is always conditional. It is, and you always laugh when it's not funny. I've told you that your help is hurtful to
Because
people.
I do. I don't think so. I help people, and
Dominic.
people have progress under the way that I do things.
Your type of progress.
It may be different.
It's your type of progress. It's based on what you think it is. Can you get the groceries? Mila, will you help Dominic, baby? Is what you think it is. It's your type of progress. It's your type of success. It's your type of everything. It's not about the people. It's about what you believe they ought to be, rather than just who they are.
Then I can't handicap people.
So what I said to you is very clear. Stop helping people.
People have to get rid of their crutches.
Really? Did Jesus? Okay, so do you have one chance to get salvation, James, or no?
No, but you still have
Show
to
me
make
where in the
progress.
Bible Jesus
You can't
said,
get the same
I want
thing.
you to show me where in the Bible Jesus said that there is a specific number of times that you should help people. I would like for you to show me where Jesus said, limit your help to people.
I can share with you, and I guess one of the most important, and I think I shared with you this before, when he gave gifts, different levels of gifts to people, and then the person who gave one gift to, he buried it. And he stole him for burying his gift, and took his gift and gave it to somebody
That has
else
nothing to do.
who does
That
better. So
that has nothing to
the
do.
fact is that you have to take.
And James, what did I talk to you about that scripture? We can do it again. I'm happy to take you to the Bible. I do this with you often, so we can do it again right now. All right, so let's talk about that, because I'm going to do it, because you and I covered this. What did I tell you last time you brought up this scripture?
I don't remember verbatim.
Right, because you don't listen.
But clearly he buried his gift, and God scolded him for burying his gift. Where he said, and you at least, I could have gotten interest if you had put it somewhere. And he took his gift and gave it to the man who he gave two to. So that to me says you have to take advantage of your gift. Take advantage of your opportunity.
James. All right, so we're going to talk about the parable. So first of all, I want us to understand that what we're looking at is something that is labeled the parable of the talents. And so what he's referring to is Matthew chapter 25, verse 14. And I'm going to keep going. So listen. For it will be like a man going on a journey who called his servants and entrusted to them his property. To one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, to another 1, to teach according to his ability. Did you hear that? That's the first thing that's important in this scripture, is according to his or her ability, according to their individual ability, understanding that the abilities of people are not the same. And then he went away. He who had received the 5 talents went at once and traded them, and he made 5 talents more, because that was his ability. So he also, who had the 2 talents, made 2 talents more, because that was his ability. But he who had received the 1 talent went and dug in the ground, and he hid his master's money. And now, after a long time, the master of those servants, and I also want to be clear the context of this parable, we are talking about enslaved individuals and slaveholders. When we refer to master, we are talking about a slaveholder. Now, after a long time, the master of those servants came and settled accounts with them. And he who had received the 5 talents came forward, brought 5 more talents. And he says, Master, you delivered to me 5 talents. Here, I made 5 more. And his master said, well done, good and faithful servant. In other words, thank you for doubling my profits. Sounds a little bit like a corporation, don't it, James? Thank you for doubling my profits. His master said, well done. You have been faithful over the little that I've given you. I will give you more because you made me more. Enjoy it. Enter into the joy of your master, not to the joy of salvation, not to the joy of Jesus Christ, but into the joy of your master. And he who also had 2 talents came forward, saying, Master, you delivered to me 2 talents. Here I have made 2 talents more. And his master said to him, Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over little, I will set you over much. Enter into the joy of your master. He who has also received the 1 talent came forward and says, Master, I knew you to be a hard man, reaping where you did not sow, and gathering where you scattered no seed. So I was afraid, and I went and I hid your talent in the ground. Here you have what is yours. And his master said to him, You wicked and slothful servant, you knew that I reap where I have not sown and gather where I scatter no seed. And then you thought you ought to have invested my money with the bankers. And at my coming, I should have received what was with my own with interest. That's what you should have invested what I gave you so that I could get it back more with interest. That is the lesson of this scripture. And if you listen to what this servant said, he said, I was scared of you because you reap where you haven't sown. You gather where there is no seed. You take where there is none to give. That's the conversation, James. I don't know where your interpretation of this scripture is. And I don't know how you got to where this is about burying your own talents. Because it is not about burying your own talents and not living up to your potential. This is about a slaveholder. Like CEOs of corporations today.
I see it totally different.
Then you're not listening and reading. And you're an educator. And James, please don't interrupt me because James, I'm reading the scripture. I'm reading the scripture that you gave me verbatim. I'm not adding anything to it and I'm not taking anything away. What is a talent in scripture? When he gave him 5 talents, what did he give them? What did he give them?
What he gave them had value and worth, just like God gives
A
us
talent
gifts.
is money.
He gives us gifts.
No, ha ha ha. So James, hush and listen. A talent is not a gift. A talent in the Bible is a heavy unit of weight and money. That's what a talent is. A talent in the Bible is in reference to money, not your gifts. When the Bible is speaking about your gifts, it calls it gifts. A talent is money only. It is not a gift. And in biblical times, it weighed about 75 pounds. It was measured in gold or silver. It was worth about 20 years of a normal worker's daily salary, daily wages. Crazy work. Crazy work. It is wild to me, James, that you are taking this, especially as a retired educator, and trying to make it mean something that it doesn't mean. This is the slaveholder.
I have to take advantage of my gifts.
Well, that is not what the scripture says. So I don't know what pastor you listen to, but this is why the Bible says, study to show thyself approved. It is not about accepting what some man preached to you. It is about studying to show thyself approved. And it would have taken literally 10 minutes.
That is also how I read it.
So nowhere in this scripture,
That's the way I've interpreted.
nowhere in this. I'm so tired of y'all misusing the Bible. I am so tired of you all using the Bible for corporate bullshit.
We all interpret the Bible.
No, you use the Bible to justify your capitalistic view of life. No, you use the Bible to justify your capitalistic view of life. And I'm sick of it because nowhere in here does it say that. This is a parable.
With being a capitalist?
I'm going to finish my sentence, James. I'm going to finish my sentence. This is a parable about an enslaver, a master, a CEO, a whatever, that says, I gave you some money, right? What you going to do with it? And he literally, and the person who is honest and says, listen, I know you. You reap where you haven't sown. In other words, you take what you haven't earned. You harvest where there has been no seeds. You take where there is none to take. You go and you take from people that do not have it to give. And so all I wanted to do was to make sure that when you came back, I could give you back what you gave me. Because what if I had invested what you gave me and it did not produce fruit? I'm terrified of you because that is the kind of man you are. That's what this scripture says. And do you know what the slaveholder did? He actually cast that worthless servant out into darkness. It's crazy to me. There is no other interpretation other than one that you want to feed to feed your narrative.
For not taking advantage of opportunity. There's a penalty for not taking advantage of opportunity.
Is this about Jesus? Yes or no? Is this Jesus talking? Yes or no? Is this Jesus, James?
The word is
no, sir. Is this red letter Jesus talking? Yes or no?
Jesus is usually.
Is this?
I'm not looking at that verse.
Well, okay. So here, we do know who wrote the majority of the New Testament.
It was interpretation.
Who wrote it?
There were different people who wrote the different.
Who wrote the majority of the New Testament? Anyway, it doesn't matter. Let me just tell you. So the parable, and I'm going to finish. I want to read the rest of this parable. Okay.
Okay.
So he also who had received the 1 talent came forward saying, Master, I knew you to be a hard man, reaping where you did not sow. And if I could pause right there, there's a comma. Should someone reap where they didn't sow, James? Should someone take a harvest that doesn't belong to them?
I wouldn't say that was positive, no.
I didn't ask you if it was positive. Should a man take?
It shows a dedication.
Nope. This is a yes or no question.
Okay.
Should a man take a harvest that is not his? Should he reap what he did not sow? Yes or no? Should you steal? Yes or no?
But he can invest.
James, stop. You're not going to irritate my soul today. You're not.
I'm not trying to hear.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. You are being intentionally obtuse, and I'm tired of it. This is not a difficult fucking question, James. And you are literally playing in my face.
Okay.
Should you take what is not yours? You are. Should you take what is not yours? Yes or no?
No, you shouldn't take what is not yours.
Exactly. So when he says, I know you to be a hard man. You reap, I'm going to finish. You reap where you have not sown. And you gather where you scattered no seed. In other words, you take other people's harvest where you did not invest seed. Should you take other people's harvest where you did not put any seed, James? Should you steal someone else's harvest from their seed? Yes or no?
Not when you put it in that context.
That's the context of the scripture, right? The context is the Bible.
Right.
Right.
I have to go review that.
I'm here. We're gonna do it together because you're not gonna. I told you you're gonna not play in my face today. You are not playing in my face today, James. Here's the scripture. The scripture says, he also, who had received the 1 talent, came forward saying, Master, I knew you to be a hard man, reaping where you did not sow, and gathering where you scattered no seed. So I was afraid. And I went and I hid your talent, your money in the ground, so that you can have what is yours. That's the context, James. And then his master said unto him, you wicked and slothful servant, you knew that I reap where I have not sown and gather where I scattered no seed? Then you ought to have invested my money with the bankers. So this right here tells you the talent is a money. And at my coming, I should have received that was my own with interest. So take the talent from him and give it to one who has 10 talents, because then he will go bring me more. This is your extreme capitalism right here in your Bible. This is your Bible telling you to be weary of masters that operate like this. This is your Bible telling you to be mindful of people who govern and who lead like this. And it says, so take that talent from him and give it to the one who has the 10 talents. For to everyone who has will more be given, and he will have an abundance. But from the one who has not, even what he has will be taken away. And then cast the worthless servant out into the dark, into the outer darkness, and in that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Nothing about this.
Those verses were the verses that I used to make sure that I always were on top of my game, that I worked harder, and
James,
I tried to outwork people.
Right.
So that was what was my motivation, not to be slothful.
James.
Yes.
I would not care if a man that robs from people and steals other people's harvest considers me slothful. I wouldn't care. This scripture is not about what we do with our own gifts and talents. This scripture is about having an enslaver who steals from other people and who gives you things. So by the way, James, in this, that would mean the talents that he gave to them were things that he stole from other people. Places where he had not sown, where he had not planted seed. He had taken that harvest from other people. This parable is not, Jesus is not the master here. This is a slaveholder being called master in the Bible.
I have to say to you, it's the first time I've heard anybody use those kind of terms. Because what you're suggesting is that the people who worked harder were somehow taking advantage of people. And that's not what we should put. That was what I used to create my work ethic.
No, that's not what I said. No. And what I just said is So if you
No, I'm saying that's
if
what
you
I
mean
did.
by worked harder, stealing what isn't yours, yes, in that sense, the master worked harder because he stole other people's harvest. And then what
Well,
he
I
did
never
was he
considered
took,
me
and then what
stealing
he did was
anybody's
he
harvest
took that
because I
stolen
gave it.
harvest, he took that stolen harvest where he had done no work and planted no seed, and then he gave it to the people that work under him and said, go multiply it and bring it back to me. You should have brought back to me what was mine with interest. And if you didn't, you are wasteful because you didn't take what I gave you. Keep in mind, what I gave you, I stole from someone else. What I gave you, I stole from someone else. But because you didn't take what I gave you and go multiply it and bring it back to me so that I could have what I already stole plus interest, you're slothful. The fuck out of here with that.
What verse is those in, Janet?
It is Matthew. You're the one who gave me the parable, James. It's Matthew chapter
No,
5.
it's
Matthew chapter 5, verses 14 through 30.
Okay, chapter 5. Okay. Listen, I use the Bible in my spirit.
Can I give you,
planted in my spirit.
I want to keep going because it's funny to me that you stopped at the parable of talents. Do you know what scripture comes right after the parable of talents?
No.
It's the scripture around the final judgment. So I'm going to give it to you guys. Starting at verse 31, it says, quote, when the Son of Man comes in his glory and all the angels with him, then he will sit on a glorious throne. And before him will be gathered all the nations. And he will separate people one from another as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. And he will place the sheep on the right and the goats on the left. And then the king will say to those on his right, come, you who are blessed by my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me drink. I was a stranger, and you welcomed me. I was naked, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you visited me. I was in prison, and you came to me. And then the righteous will answer him, saying, Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you drink? And when did we see you a stranger and welcome you, or naked and clothe you? And when did we see you sick or in prison and visit you? And the king will answer them, truly I say to you, as you did to the least of these, my brothers, you did unto me. And then he will say to those on the left, depart from me, you cursed, into the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his angels. For I was hungry, and you gave me no food. I was thirsty, and you gave me no drink. I was a stranger, and you did not welcome me. Naked, and you did not clothe me. Sick and in prison, and you did not visit me. And then they will answer, saying, Lord, when did we see you hungry or thirsty or failing a class? And he will answer them, saying, truly I say unto you, as you did not do it to the one of the least of these, you did not do it unto me. And these will go away into eternal punishment, but the righteous into eternal life.
That's a part of my spirit as well.
Yeah, but James, you are disconnecting the two, and they are in the same.
The issue is one of my personal views. If you help people, if you only help people, everybody helps. Then who do you really help? So I help people far down lower on the pole than most people help. I spent 10 years helping inmates get their GED. So I really believe in my spirit that I try real hard to help people. I don't make excuses for them, but I try to help them.
Hey, Dominic, can you come help me, baby? You want to...
Because I've seen people who had little or nothing that have gone a long way.
Baby, will you give me ice, and then the bottle of water that I had delivered. And I got you guys some splash too.
Pour the bottle of water in that.
Yeah, that eternal one, but I just need ice too. Let me just say this, folks. James, you want to separate these two. The parable before this, because this is all one chapter, right? If I go to verse 1, then the kingdom of heaven will be like 10 virgins who took their lamps and went to meet the bridegroom. Yeah, just you can use 1 second, folks. What, baby? Yeah, no. There you go. I know. I can be aggressive sometimes. James, you want to separate them, and one of the issues, and so let me just say this: I appreciate you for just always being you. I just don't always like who the you is that you are. It doesn't mean that I don't care for you as a person. I'm just being direct. Like I don't have anything against you. It is your mindset. You have a very ego-driven, materialistic view of the world. And the thing that irritates me is that you try to use the Bible and Christianity to support a very materialistic view of the world, which is the antithesis of what Jesus would want. And you use, and we talked about this before, you virtue signal, James. You virtue signal, right? You help the
virtue signal.
Yes.
What does that mean?
And so this is what I mean. So just like just a minute ago, and you did this the last time you were on my panel talking about all the help that you give to people. You said, "Oh, I help people that are far below what most people would help." Right? I help people in prison get GEDs. Right? That's you virtue signaling, and you do it a lot. Right? When we have these conversations. And what we have talked about previously is that you use what you do for people, right, as an indicator of who you are, right? Oh, look how good I am. I do this. I'm a good person because I do that. I'm a good person because I do this. And what I see is someone who believes that it's the things that you do, right? These individual acts. These are the things that make you good, rather than you doing the work necessary to actually just be good. So there's a difference. If you can only do actions that look good to society, that is different than simply just being good. And doing the work necessary to just be that and show up in that way. So, like, James, do you believe in an eye for an eye? Do you support the death penalty?
No, not necessarily.
Well, then, so when you say not necessarily, that means yes. When you say not necessarily, that means yes, it's conditional.
No, I say I've waffled on it, but most of the time I believe that the state should not be in the business of taking lives. So if I had to vote on it, I could not vote in the affirmative. I would probably vote not participating in taking lives.
Right. Probably, but not necessarily. Most of the time, but not always. That's what I'm telling you, James. Your belief systems are conditional. That's what I'm telling you. Your help is conditional. Your belief systems are conditional. It's all conditional. Under the right set of circumstances, you would support killing someone. Under the right set of circumstances, you support.
I don't believe that Jesus or my God
You are?
requires me to be a footman.
Stuff. So what does that have to do? What does that have to do? What does give me one second. Hold on, James. Hold on. I need to help the baby. One moment. Where did it go? Here, Sissy. I got some more of. That's for Bella. Sorry, this one's for you. Okay, so can you share with me what you would like? Can you share it with me? Would you order some donuts? Would you like me to do that? Because I can. You want me to do that, babe? Okay, share with me what you would like. Okay, I got you. I owe you that from yesterday. That girl is still on her orange chicken, y'all. Mila wanted orange chicken yesterday, and she still wants orange chicken today. She is not letting it go. So give me a second. I will get this baby her damn orange chicken because holy jeez. She said, I want orange chicken. It's my favorite too. But yeah, that's what she's about. She's done asked me for it for 2 days. So I'm gonna make that happen for her really quickly. Yeah, it's just because I'm not saying that word, Mama Dukes. If I say that word, she will absolutely want it. So let's do this really, really quickly. And that's okay because this can be lunch and dinner and be fine because it's a big enough serving that I can divvy it up, you know? Okay, give me 1 second, people. Whoops. Me doing all the things because life. Okay, let me make sure that this is what I got. Okay. So I got Dominic his. Okay. Y'all know I gotta do what I gotta do with these kiddos. And make sure that they are good to go and taken care of. And sometimes that can be quite a bit. Is this not reflecting what I want? Okay, so James, I can talk to you while I'm doing this real quick, if you can give me a moment. So here's my thing, James. When I have these conversations with you, and we talk about your beliefs and the way that you show up, I got you, Elle. Is much of what you believe is conditional, the same way that your help is. But the thing is that you're not clear in your helpful people and in your help with people, that it is conditional, right? We talked about this before, and it catches people off guard. People don't know that your help is going to be conditional, and that's incredibly important. And I'm almost done. I need to get rid of that. And I have that. I think this is okay. Wait, do I have 2 of those? Okay, no, I just have the one. Okay, perfect. Okay, baby girl, Tutu got you. Okay, I got you, sis. You're all good. Oh, I'll praise him for that. Y'all, it gave me like this little special discount thing, and I'm about that life today. I say $15. That's incredible. I will take it. Thank you for asking for orange chicken, Mila. Okay. Okay. So here's what I'm saying, James. Is that she's right there, Mama. She's right there. They both ready for some orange chicken. Sorry, no. But here's the problem that I have, James, is when you use scripture to justify capitalistic societies and ideology, it becomes a problem for me because it's not what the Bible says. The Bible doesn't support your position and the way that you deal with people and what you will and won't do for them, or your belief system. Like nowhere is the Bible talking about grinding hard, right? Jesus actually talks about provision and it being given. And so, like, rather than you practice the principles of Jesus Christ's teaching and know that provision will be there, you have bought into this master or CEO type mentality that perpetuates profits over people. Like that parable literally teaches you that the master gave the money and the return on investment more priority than the person. So much so.
But then okay, I'm sorry. But the Bible tells us if a man does not work, he does not eat. That don't mean you supposed to just.
Would you like for me to show you that scripture in its entirety as well? Because I've already taken the first scripture that you gave me, James. The first scripture that you gave me, and literally dog walked you from a spirituality and Jesus perspective. It doesn't say what you want it to say. And I don't care how many prosperity gospel preachers told you that bullshit. That is not what the Bible says. Elle, while I pull this up, James, Elle has a question for you.
Right. Just a quick question for you. And I'm coming from a very respectful place when I'm asking this. But I did hear Dani's comment about virtue signaling, and it got me thinking. Your comment about helping people in prison to earn their GED, like, would you, if it weren't highly visible, would you still offer the same help? And would you, if you weren't being publicly applauded for it, would you still do all the same things? Or are you doing it, is it for public recognition? Is it for pats on the back? Or is it because the goodness of your heart?
No. I accepted it as a job. It was Orange County Public Schools paid me.
So if it's a job.
So you didn't just do it.
Yes.
No, but I had an option.
Hold on.
I could have opted not to go.
But you also could have opted to tell us that it was a job and not something that you did out of the charity of your heart.
I did not say it was a job.
But you didn't say that it was. You presented it as it was something that you voluntarily did for people that were less than, and that you were helping a segment of society that normal people wouldn't help.
You perceived that.
No, I didn't perceive it, James. Let me tell you what you said, James.
I came in cold, and that's what I heard. I came in cold to this whole thing, and I heard from you, it seemed to be altruistic and out of a place of kindness. And I've never encountered you before, James. So again, this is just me coming in cold. That's all.
Well, when I say to you, the way I took my job and the way I handled myself as an instructor was kindness, because I treated my students to things they would have not had from other people. So the way I handled my classes, there were things that I did that I didn't get from other people.
But that is the virtue signaling right there. Like you are signaling quite literally signaling yourself to be a virtuous person when you are a person that was earning money to do a job. That is, by its very definition, virtue signaling. And I don't intend to come in and be harsh.
Not when you have teachers.
Hold on. I do intend to come in for a fact.
James, let Elle finish, please. Can you let her finish and then you can speak?
Okay.
It's just one more sentence. I don't come in to be rude and difficult, but I do come in to just show you the truth in the statement that you made. And that's it.
Okay, listen, I'm not saying it hurt. I'm an intellectual individual, so I don't take what you said to mean you being disrespectful, and we can talk and disagree without me feeling hurt on a personal level. But what I'm suggesting to you as an educator, and I don't have to go through my whole resume, but as an educator, I've always gone further than what was the norm. I would have movie Fridays so my inmates could see stuff that they would not normally see. I would share, give them popcorn and stuff. I wasn't required to do those kind of things.
But you're still asking for accolades.
Give them.
Asking for accolades for doing the job.
I didn't. You don't get accolades when you don't share it. I didn't go around telling everybody I was doing that. There were no accolades for that.
No, it was a paycheck. The paycheck was your accolades.
No.
The paycheck was your accolades. So stop for a second. So I'm gonna interject here because here's the conversation was. I specifically mentioned people virtue signaling, whatever, and literally what you said, James, is, I do for people that like the lowest of society that other people would not help. You said, for example, I worked with people in prison to get their GEDs, right? So, I think that I've helped people that other people in society wouldn't help. Literally, that was the context of what you said. You did not say I took a job and got paid to teach prisoners in prison so that they could get a GED, which is different. That is not altruistic.
Right, but there's not a lot of people who won't even do that. I'm saying.
What do you mean? There are plenty of people that teach in prisons. And do you know what else is crazy, James?
Go to jail every day.
Do you know what else is crazy, James? There are people who do it for free. So, for example, I used to go out to the Job Corps and work with kids out there and help them get their GED. I also went to the Job Corps and did Bible study with them. I also brought them into my home and helped them get jobs, right? So that is something that I did many, many years ago. You've never heard me talk about it ever. It wasn't a job. I didn't get paid to do it, right? But you never hear me talk about it because it was something that I desired to do out of my heart. I don't talk about it though, and I damn sure didn't get paid for it. See, there's a difference between doing that and doing a job that you got paid to do and presenting it as altruism.
Dani, even when we do our jobs, we can go further than people are expected to do that makes what we're doing special. So just because I got paid for it doesn't take away from the fact that I did things to make my kids feel more humane.
Sure, but the going further would be the doing it and not mentioning it. That would be the going further. Again, just from my perception of going further.
We're sharing. So, I mean, if
we weren't sharing. We weren't sharing, James. You brought it up. James, we weren't sharing.
In the context of what we were talking about.
No, you brought it up. The context was people should stop virtue signaling. The context was helping the least of these. That was the context, right? But the context wasn't about us as individuals helping the least of these.
It's the doing while nobody's watching part that's critical here. Like, it's the doing without the pat on the back. It's the doing without the praise for it. It's just the doing it while the lights are out. And I hope that this doesn't come off as criticism. It's just meant as constructive, since you asked what virtue signaling was and how you were virtue signaling.
No. What it comes out as, people work hard and get rewarded for their work. They don't go around saying, "Oh, like our president, I didn't go around. I want a Nobel Peace Prize because I'm doing this." I did it because I wanted to do it. So
you
people
understand
get
the way that you
rewarded
presented
for
this
just
thing
going about their business. They're not talking about it.
I'm so
Can
sorry to interrupt. The way you presented it was that you were not doing this as a job, is that you were doing it to help the community. And I think that's important to acknowledge that. And that's it. Sorry.
And I
Dan.
can do a job
No, you're right,
and
Al.
help the community.
Right, but that's not how you presented it. James,
They can't
stop.
be the same.
James, you can. But the reality is you did not present it that way. You presented it. Stop for a moment. Here's what you said. You said, I taught prisoners in jail, in prison, people in prison, so that they could get their GED. You did not say, I took a job to work with people in prison to get GEDs when I could have took a job as an educator somewhere else. You omitted information. You omitted information.
I selected to go to the jail.
You omitted information that was relative to the context in a conversation about virtue signaling. And the information that you omitted would have provided really important context to what you said. You selected to get a specific job. And I've told you that you choose to do things because they, for you, make you feel better about who you are. They just do. They're they feed your ego as to who you are in the world.
Feeling good about who you
No, but when you come on panel, James,
that you
when
can't
you come
feel
on
good
panel,
about what you do.
James, when you come on panel and you share, which is a lovely thing to do, and I enjoy doing it. I enjoy hearing feedback too. You leave yourself open to this type of critique and discussion. And so, again, this is not a pile-on. It's not designed for that. But but we're pointing out, exactly our perception of what happened. Go ahead.
Listen, Dani has never been one to shy away from trying to put me in check, and I haven't been shy about keep coming back. So I don't have a problem with people criticizing me. I formulate my own self-worth, but I do listen to people. But what I'm sharing with you, I have a career of being there to help myself and my community by the steps that I take. So even though you might say, well, you got paid for it, I always got paid and went further than what my pay provided or said that I had to do. So, it doesn't. I did things that people did for me, and I went even further with it. So I hear you, but the realization is that people did certain things for me when I was in high school, and I built on those things and went further with what I did for other people, and that's where me feeling good about that, I don't think takes away from the life I led.
Nobody said that it does, James. My point is that there's a difference between feeling good about something as a byproduct and feeling good about something as a motivating factor, as a driver for what you do. And this is the point of what I'm saying. And like I said, I appreciate you for always being who you are. I just don't always like who that is. I do appreciate your willingness to engage in conversations because it's beneficial to everyone that's listening. So this is the thing that I'm saying is that.
And again, okay. And I've been honest with you about the thing.
James, what I'm saying.
That's driven me and that I've used to be my motivation.
James, what I'm saying to you is that when what you choose to do, when feeling good about the choice is the motivator rather than just the choice itself, that's where the problem comes in. So and here's what I mean. When my desire to do a thing is because my desire is to just do the thing and help, that's a beautiful thing in and of itself. And if as a result of doing the thing, I also feel good, that's amazing. That is different than desiring to do a thing so that I can do something I feel good about. When the feeling good about it is part of the motivation behind the choice, that takes away from the choice to do the thing. And so one of the ways to determine that is, would you do it for free? Would you do it if it cost you something? Would you do it if you had to pay for the materials? Would you do it on your own? Have you done it since? Would you do it if there was a significant impact on you? Because let me tell you something. I can do something that I feel good about doing, and it have cost me a tremendous amount. If the doing good things is contingent upon it not costing you anything and you feeling good about it, then I would encourage you to lean into that and explore your motivations for doing it.
Well, I suggest to you, there have been times when I thought I was doing good or doing something that was beneficial for someone, and it cost me a lot. Not that not everything had to be beneficial because there was some value to it at the time. But there have been times when I thought I was doing something good that took away from the value I already had.
Are you harboring resentment for that? But are you harboring resentment for that, or are you
Yes.
able to let go of it? Because if you're harboring the resentment,
I'm able. No, I don't hold on to it. It's just a cost. I have to take in consideration that
then
each
what
time it
reminded
happens.
you of it? What reminded you if you're not harboring
Excuse me?
resentment? What reminded you of it if you're not harboring resentment? Like to somebody that's no longer harboring resentment, then it would have been a past bygone, not something.
I don't get it. Well, I don't think I have to forget about things in order to be free from them. I'm free from them because I don't get angry about the fact that they happen. That doesn't mean I have to forget that they happen. I'm no longer angry about that they happen.
Okay, so let me just say this. So the resistance that, and I really do think that this is why you end up coming back, James, is because you keep running into a brick wall of resistance when when you have to get to the place where you have to meet your ego in the mirror. That's where this huge wall of resistance comes up for your ability to see what I'm saying, and be able to take it in and apply it. And part of that disconnect,
I
go ahead, James.
Dani, I think I keep coming back because your room is a place where I can educate myself on a multitude of things.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily because there's always conflict. I don't run away from the conflict,
Right.
but there are things that there's a host of things that I learn. I'm an educator, so I don't have a problem with learning things. So when I see you in there, I come in because I learn. But part of me being who I am, I'm honest about what I feel, and I'm not going to just share what I feel to get on your good side. What I do and what I think is real. It ain't nothing I try to, like I told you before, there are things I say the last time that weren't in the best of light. But I said it because that's what it was. Now, that ain't the same person I feel I am now. But the truth is what it is. And there's no need for me to feel. One of the craziest things I think of in this world is when somebody says to me, how can I be afraid of people who I'm talking to who don't impact my world? You can educate me and you can make me smarter, but there's no reason for me to fear sharing something because y'all not going to come find me and something unalive me or anything. So I'm sharing because I think this is a place for us to exchange and learn.
It is. And
So
let me ask you a question. And all the times that you've been here, can you share with me what you've learned? And the only thing I won't allow you to bring up is Palestine. So take Palestine out of the conversation And outside of
Let's see,
Palestine, James, outside, hold on, listen. Outside of
Okay.
Palestine, what have you learned in your engagements with me?
Okay, I have eased back on my thoughts related to the changes our country made in terms of gays and that whole behavior. I've learned from that. We had a long discussion about that.
What did you learn?
And I softened my position, and it takes time for me to go back to where I softened my position. But I still have to tell you that I've given housing to that group of people. I've given housing. I don't discriminate, even though I had some feelings that we discussed about that. So I learned that I have to be more acceptance and reduce my resentment, or even open myself up to getting to know them, because I can give them housing without getting to know them. I didn't have dinner with them. I wouldn't go places with them. I wouldn't go party with them. So, I mean, there's still some things that I'm not doing. I learned that. I learned about when we talked about my daughter and whether or not she has a safe place to talk about her personal life and her issues with men. I learned about that.
So did you ask your daughter if she's ever been sexually assaulted?
No, I didn't ask that question yet.
Have you asked any of your male friends if they have ever been accused of sexually assaulting anybody, or
No, I didn't do that.
no? Okay. So
No.
and so what you learned was you could still be bigoted towards LGBTQIA individuals, just not as harsh. So you could still make money off of them or give them a place to live, right? But you don't have to know anything about them. Or,
No, I'm not. I wouldn't call my feelings bigoted. Okay, I'm just.
what would, well,
Because of
so let me
my
ask you a
age,
question. Would
I had to. It's just like I used to have an issue.
James,
I'm listening.
do white people have to consider their views bigoted if black people say they're bigoted?
Yeah, I would think they would have to take in consideration if somebody was black was telling them that they said or did something that they thought was bigoted.
Right. But but this is my point. So you want white people to listen when black people say your views are bigoted, but you don't want to have to consider when other people in the LGBTQ plus community tell you that your views are bigoted.
I haven't had an opportunity to do that. I mean,
Okay, so let me show you. So folks, if you belong to the LGBTQ plus community, can you put a rainbow in the chat for me? If you belong to the LGBTQ plus community, can you put a rainbow in the chat for me? If you feel comfortable. So, based on James's vocabulary and his speech, would you consider his views on LGBTQ plus individuals bigoted?
I can answer that directly. So, as a bisexual woman, I do not feel that the term they, and like using the othering of LGBT community, LGBT plus community, it's the language I'm hearing. It's the they, and it's the othering.
That group of people and those
yes.
people, and yes,
Those
it's the
people,
othering.
yeah.
So yes to bigoted. Yes,
I feel that it's bigoted.
correct. And you can see everybody else in the chat that is part of that community. James also hears your verbiage as bigoted.
But you can't. I can't cut myself off from my education or my history. I can try to make adjustments. I don't have a vehicle to sit and learn what kind of new verbiage I have to come up with.
Yes. Okay. Wait. Wait, one black person to another? Shut the fuck up. Yes, you can. Stop it. The same way that you expect white people to get anti-racist is the same way you can become anti-bigoted towards LGBTQ individuals. And if you dare open your mouth and act as if that is not possible, James, again, this is why I have a problem with you. This is why. Because you say you're an educator, and yet you say the most uneducated shit ever and things that are against actually what education is. I'm not doing that.
Then where am I supposed to go get this new word?
Oh my God, stop it. Where do you want white people to go? Where do you want white people to go, James? Are there a plethora of resources for white people to learn how to deconstruct? Yes or no? Now, don't tell me that you're an educator and you don't know how to fucking do research. Don't tell me that you're an educator that doesn't know how to go research a subject if you are interested in deconstructing. Don't tell me that, because I know better. You insult my intelligence, and I done told you, you're going to stop playing in my face today.
Why can't I just?
You are going to stop playing in my face today.
When does the fair start? When does the fair part start? And listen, if you are seeking to learn, you will find a place. If you're seeking to learn, you will open your eyes and find a place. There are plenty of places you can scroll through TikTok and happen upon a place. It's whether or not you're willing to receive it and hear it. That's all.
James, you've been in my space. How long has it been since you started coming into my lives?
It's been months.
It sure has. It sure has.
It's not a year yet, but it's been months.
Mm-hmm. Right. And so don't tell me that you have been in my lives and you don't know where to go and look for information. I talked to you extensively already.
There's a tab at the top of your page, James. I don't know if you have it. You can go into your settings and turn it on if you don't have it. It's called the STEM. TikToks about their education-related TikToks. If you are having a hard time looking for resources, I implore upon you to get off of regular TikTok and just go through the STEM tab. Search through. You can learn many different things about many different things.
So
but I'm asking you, why isn't it enough for me just to be fair?
Because when you're a bigot, you can't be fair. When you're a bigot, you cannot be fair. When you have a bigoted lens through which you view the world, you cannot be fair. You cannot be fair. You cannot be equitable, because you view the world and issues through a bigoted lens. That is why. So I need to ask you to keep hanging out, James. I want to go up and I want to get Azel Arts, and then I want to get to Timothy. Okay, so Azel, you had something you wanted to say?
Yeah, James is a piece of work. I'm sorry. I wanted to go back to the very beginning. He doesn't know he puts on people his own standards on other people. And I'll give him an example. When I was in high school, I'm not going to say what was the sport. It was very intense, and but nevertheless, my coach at my last year of high school, he said, "Why don't you train the new people?" So I started training them, and I'm a high-level person. Okay, I was even competing in college. All right, so I had a standard. Now I'm trying to teach the younger kids coming in, freshmen. And at the time, I'm putting my standard onto them, and they wasn't getting it. And then it felt that they wasn't willing to learn. So I started to look at myself and say, what am I doing wrong here? I have to make it free-flowing to where they can engage. So I learned I cannot put myself onto other people. They have different learning skills, different levels. And once I did that, they started catching on, and then they wanted to do what I wanted them to do. They followed along on their level. That was in high school. When I moved up into the military, I became a trainer, and it just grown on me. I didn't want to be a trainer. I didn't want to be an educator, but they wanted me to train other people, so I did it. After that, went to corporate. Now this is when it got interesting. In the corporate world, you can't make mistakes based on the area I was in. So it was a lot of theory, a lot of thinking you couldn't put your hand on. So people would listen to me, and I would tell them, hey, write this stuff down. If you don't write it down, you're not going to retain it. So once I wrote it down, they caught on. The ones that didn't had the problem. And James, this is what you're not realizing as an educator. Go ahead.
Hey, Solar, if I can get you to hold on, because I know Timothy's gotta leave, and I wanted to give 1 second just because I know he's got to leave. Hold on one second, Azolar. I appreciate you so much. So Timothy, you asked a question in the chat, and I brought you up, and thanks for accepting the invite. You said, why should we deconstruct? And first let me ask you, what is your understanding when I say deconstruct? What do you believe what do you believe I mean by that? What does deconstruction mean to you? Timothy, are you able to unmute? I sent you an invitation to unmute.
I don't know what it means.
Okay, got you. So when I talk about deconstruction, so all of us have preconceived thoughts and notions about how we believe the world to work, right? And what we believe is right or wrong and whatever. And deconstruction is when you challenge things that you believed with new information. And when you understand some information might not have been accurate. It may have given you a certain prejudice, a certain bigotry that isn't applicable, right? So deconstructing is challenging the things that we believe we already believe, taking in new information and continuing to grow and evolve in our understanding of what those things truly are. So deconstruction is how we continue to grow in our knowledge and our understanding of information and issues.
Well, I've always been a person to involve and learn. And I have realized a lot of things that I was taught was wrong. But as far as prejudiced, I've never been. I mean, my mama never taught me that. And plus, I lived most of my life down in Florida where there was some form of prejudice there, but not like here where I'm at now in South Carolina, which is extreme for some reason. But I wasn't really around it that much. I mean...
Well, so here's what I would say is that as a white man in Florida, you might have been around it and not aware of it. Right?
It's not as prevalent there as it is like Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina.
So what I would say is that it's not, when you say it's not as prevalent, I would say it's probably not as overt. So when we talk about overt versus covert things, right? And that's the part that's different. And so when you are a black and brown person or whatever, then you can see and feel and experience things that maybe, it's not as overt. So maybe nobody is burning a cross in a yard, right? But maybe they are full of microaggressions and other disparities that still exist. And so that's part of the deconstruction because it helps us continue to learn and evolve.
Well, I know in Mississippi and Alabama and South Carolina, it's kind of like over the top.
Yeah, I mean, I will tell you this. I've always lived in the South. I've lived in Tennessee, Virginia, South Carolina, North Carolina, and Georgia. And it's very prevalent there. I also have friends that live in Florida where it is also a horrific problem, depending upon where you live in Florida, right? But your question was why deconstruct? Because you said, why should we deconstruct? And I hope that I've answered that question as to why we should deconstruct.
Yeah. But like I said, I hit follow and I got to run.
Okay. Well, you're welcome to come back anytime. I appreciate you for joining.
Thank you.
Thanks, Timothy. All right. Azalar, I definitely want to let you finish because you are on a stellar point about not applying our own standards and our own understanding to everyone else. So if you want to continue down that road.
Yeah. So my next test to him is when his inmates that he's giving them a test and they fail. What does he get out of it when you have to tell them they failed? And what do they get from? What does he see from them? What's the feedback?
And so if she could eat a little bit before we go, that would be great. She's not probably going to be ready to.
If you're asking me what they get back is me encouraging them to do better. I can't change the standard. I can't change the standard that is required because I want to make them feel good, because the standard that is required is the only way they can pass the GED. So I can't suggest to them, oh, you can be happy with where you are, because where you are is not going to get you a passing grade for the GED. So you got to get further than that. So I can't, you work with where people are, but there's still a standard that you got to reach that doesn't take their abilities into consideration.
We got to go to your school, and I'll help you. Okay.
So you hit on one point. You don't want them to feel good. That's a part of education. If you don't feel good in what you're doing, even as the instructor or the learner, they're not going to learn.
It's okay for you to think that way. That's not the way I think. The bar is where the bar is. Hold on. I can't give you a data boy for being under the bar.
Actually,
no. Go ahead.
Yeah. So actually, James, you can always give an attaboy. You can give an attaboy, and then you can adjust to whatever is necessary to be added to what you're doing to help elevate someone else to a particular level or agenda, right?
And just for clarification purposes, is the standard for GED not pass-fail? So like an attaboy would always work even if the standard of pass was not met, right?
No, there's a standard that in every subject area that has to be met, and that you just participating doesn't get you to reach that standard.
So let me just say this. Choosing to participate is also a success, because there are some people that can't overcome their circumstances and situations to choose to participate. So yes, celebrating someone's choice to even participate is an option and often has great benefit. This idea that we do not celebrate people for engaging in the process and engaging in the choice to step forward is just crazy work to me. It takes fucking courage to step into a place that is intimidating. It takes courage to get on a court. It takes courage to enroll in a class. It takes courage to go to therapy. It takes courage to start to learn about finances and balancing checkbooks. It takes courage to take on the things that seem insurmountable, and what seems insurmountable to one is not what seems insurmountable to others. While it may seem secondary to you, you are someone who had a mother as an educator. So maybe to you, choosing to get a GED doesn't take courage, and it isn't much. For others, they may be the first person in their family to ever go down that path. And there is significant trauma and thought processes that make that a hurdle to cross. The challenge with you, James, is you do not celebrate any success that you don't deem as a success. If you do not see it as success, then it's nothing to be celebrated. And it doesn't matter how difficult it is for anyone else.
That's correct. And here's a test. You can do it on anyone, a child
Bella,
or even an adult.
Can you get the food?
When they fall, I'm hearing something. Oh, when a person falls, especially a child, and they get up, they're looking around and they're looking for someone. And when they find someone, they're looking at that person's face. If you laugh, they'll start laughing. But if you show worriness or sad, then they start crying.
Yep.
It's a feedback. And that's what you're giving. You're giving negative feedback. There's no positive, nothing that you're saying or doing. I'm sorry for the background.
It's okay. It's okay.
It's your feedback. And with that negative feedback, that's what you want to get. It's no different if I start giving you names that you don't like. That's what you're going to throw back onto me.
So one of the things I said, listen to you about when you suggested about coaching. See, my experience with coaching is totally different. My coach's job was to get me to go somewhere or get to a place that I didn't even think was possible. So one of my things my coaches would say to you, if I'm not riding you and I'm not on your back and I'm not telling you that you're not doing enough, then that tells you that I still care about you. When I stop talking to you and I stop pushing you and stop motivating you, that's when I've given up on you.
So let me just say this.
Suggest that you accept people where they are. Your job is to get them to go places where they never even thought possible.
No. So here's what I'm not doing. I'm not doing toxic coaching strategies. I'm not doing that.
No, he's
so
in the coaching.
James, we are not going to talk about so let me just say this. This idea, and they do this a lot in the military and in athletics, where, the more that I demonize you, the more that I pick on you, the harder I am on you, it's to bring out this greatness in you, right? That's this very toxic mentality that they sell for the military and that they sell for athletics, which is also why the men who participate in sports and the men who are in the military often commit higher levels of aggressive harm when it comes to women and other people. If we need to call a thing. Those things are not necessary. Those are not necessary to help someone rise to the best level of themselves. As a matter of fact, while it might have someone perform better, it comes from a horrific place that oftentimes has other impacts that are detrimental to their health and well-being. And what's crazy work to me is that we are sitting here and I am talking to someone that is in their 60s that is still holding on to what their coach taught them in college. And that is why deconstruction is so fucking necessary. So we have to grow to where the things that we learned in high school and in college, no matter who they were from, whether it was from a teacher, a pastor, or a preacher, that we give ourselves permission to learn and do better than what they taught us 40 years ago. If your life is being dictated by what you learned 40 years ago, when we lived in a society that harbored and protected predators, right? We lived in a society where it was always a girl's fault or a woman's fault if she was SA. We lived in a society where we don't tell what happens in these four walls. We lived in a society that perpetuated trauma and violence and abuse. And at this stage in the game, we need to be in a better place. And if you are not personally in that better place, then I question what type of work you are doing to grow as a person. And James, the reason why I did not allow you to use Palestine as something that you've learned in my space is because Palestine has nothing to do with James as a person. I want to know what you've learned that causes you to have to grow, for you to have to face something and be different. Learning about Palestine and Israel, that doesn't cost James anything. But James having to deconstruct his own homophobia and transphobia, that's cost James something. James having to confront his own ego and his own virtue signaling, that cost James something. And that's why I won't allow you to use Palestine. Nope, because it doesn't impact your day-to-day life. And so I won't let you use it. Dominic, here, baby. So that's why. I'm just over this. If I'm not, do you know what you sound like, James? You sound like what they taught us as little girls. Let me speak for myself because I'm Gen X. What they taught me as a little girl is that if a boy picks on you, it's because he likes you. the more he makes fun of you. If a boy hits you, it's because he likes you and he just doesn't know how to express it. I am tired of society teaching us that abuse is what makes us know that someone cares about us. No, thank you. Don't give a fuck about me, please. That's what I would prefer. I'm tired of us excusing abusive, manipulative behavior and teaching our children and teaching ourselves that it is somehow a form of affection. No, it's not.
And I could never understand why that was ever approached.
Dominic.
I heard that when I was growing up. I'm older, but I was like, how is that possible? Me hitting her shows that I like her. No, that didn't even register in my brain. It was reversed. I was like, how's that even a like? But
Because
Jane,
for a long time we gave misogyny a pass in society, and it was a lot easier to make excuses for misogyny and for abusive behavior than to confront it. And we finally, only in recent decades, have had the tools and actually the courage to confront it head on instead of just to co-sign it.
I'm glad I never picked that one up. But James, you need a lot of work. Personally,
first thing, you don't know enough about me to know what kind of work I need. You just talk to me. Now, Dani, I've been talking to a while, so you don't assume that somehow I need a lot of work.
Let me just.
I'm not going to take.
Let me say, James, you don't have to. But here's the thing: Azel is speaking because Azel's in here a lot. Azel's here almost every day, listening. So the reason why I feel like Azel is saying, and I understand your defensiveness, but your defensiveness is coming from ego. So while I've talked with you a lot, he's been here and listened to you a lot. And so have other people. And so when people have that opinion, it's based on they've heard our conversations over and over again. And I think the thing that is frustrating people, this is Milo's food. The thing that's frustrating people is that a lot of the hindrances for you to be able to hear what I'm saying, right, are still there. Like you keep coming back and it doesn't seem as if the disconnects that you had when you first started coming, it doesn't feel like in between your visits, you're doing the hard work. It doesn't feel like you're taking what we start with and going back and doing any other research, right? So it doesn't feel like you've gone and taken a look at any of the information on the Trevor Project. And I know you've heard me talk about the Trevor Project, and I know you've heard me talk about all of those things. And so that's where the frustration comes from, is because your positions seem to be the same. And it doesn't seem like, so like if I could put on my James hat for a minute, it's like you keep showing up to class and you think you're going to learn the lesson by only what I teach you in the 20, 30 minutes to an hour that you spend here. But you're not studying outside of my classroom, James. You're not getting any supportive text. You haven't gone to get a tutor, James, to learn the things that are being discussed in Dani's classroom. You think you're going to learn everything you need to pass this class just sitting on my panel with no work being done on your own part. You're doing no homework. Does that make sense?
Well,
you're participating, but you're not passing.
I always feel like I'm learning and growing, and I interpret things based on whether or not there's some movement that I want to make or I not make.
That you want to make. So then just say that you want to be this way. Just say that you don't. Just say, James, that you don't believe that you should change anything, and then that's okay.
Some of the things that I am have worked for me, then.
It doesn't. So do they still work for you? Do they still work for you today in terms of who you desire to be? Because here's the thing. I think that you like who you are and you don't want to change.
No, I want to change where I think change is necessary.
Right. You want to change, but only where you think it's necessary for you. unless it's, so listen, this is the thing. If it's working for you and it's beneficial to you, you have zero desire to change it, even if it's harmful to other people.
Well, and James, another question for you, and again, good faith question. So, I understand you're a return that you come regularly, and you've jumped on panel before. So, if you're not willing to make all the changes, not just the changes on your terms, then what are we doing here? Because what you're then doing, and again, I mean this in not a nasty way, but in a very, very clear way. If you're not here to just make the changes, not the conditional changes, you're wasting Dani's time, you're wasting your own time, and you're wasting everybody that's here's listening time. And the one thing that we don't get back in life, I think we can all agree, is time. Time is a very, very limited resource. Why are we wasting time with you? Why are you wasting time with us if these are just going to be conditional changes? I'd like to know. Can you confront that?
First,
can you address it?
Foremost, I came up here because I felt comfortable in this space because I feel like Dani's space is one of those few places where intellectual and intelligent people can have a conversation. I didn't come up here because, there's something I need to change about me. When someone suggests there's something I need to make an adjustment, I'll interpret whether I make those adjustments or not. But if you're saying to me, I have to come up here and turn into Dani, that's not what this is about.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm asking you once again in good faith to engage with my question. If you're not fully into the message, first and foremost, why are you spending time here? And then if you're not fully interested in making a change, or
there are a lot of different topics up here.
Hold on, and you're not willing to receive what we're giving you fully without pushing back, then maybe this, I'm not dissuading you to not be in this room, but just think about the resource of time. And our goal here is mostly to try and get people prepared for midterms and what's beyond that. Like, we wasted a whole hour and a half with you today. I'm not saying it's wasted. We've used a whole hour and a half speaking with you today. If it's not to move the discussion forward and to move James forward, what are we doing?
Man, I thought we came up here to talk about a lot of different subjects. I didn't think we came up here. I came here just for counseling. Now, when Dani turns into a discussion related to what I'm thinking, I accept that, and I'm free to talk about it. But I don't go anywhere with the feeling that I need to change who I am. I created who I am and value who I am over a period of time. I'm 66 years old, so no matter where I'm go, I'm taking that with me. Now, when somebody shares with me something that I need to alter or adjust, I'm open to that. But I don't just hold hardly just because you're talking to me. All of a sudden, I have to become who you are. I am a progressive. I would even go so far as to say I'm a socialist. But that doesn't mean I want to go as far left as some of the left people are. I'm also a conservative. I'm a conservative Democrat, along with being a socialist and a capitalist. I'm not changing that just because there are people who are further left than me and who would suggest that I need to go with them.
You're not a socialist, you're not a socialist, James. You're not.
I think I'm a socialist.
I don't care what you think. You're not. It just tells me that as an educator, you don't know the definition of what socialism is because you're not a socialist. You do not believe in a system that is equitable for people when they need help. Your help is contingent upon people meeting a certain standard that you deem is appropriate, and that's just a fact. You've been on my panel a bajillion times, and I'm trying to rush right now, and I'm kind of frustrated because I want to be in this conversation, but the girls have orientation for school. Mila's starting kindergarten, Bella is going into 4th grade, and orientation it just started. We can come anytime in between this, but it's only a 45-minute window. So I need to go. I want to be back in this conversation. So let me just, first of all, I appreciate Azal Arts and Elle and everybody coming. James, I even appreciate you. I really do. The thing that I really wish that you would do. Yes, baby. Yes, it is. No, it's not. Just one. The thing that is frustrating for me, it's hot enough for you to eat. It's not cold though, baby. So listen, the thing that is frustrating for me, and I'm just going to speak for myself, I don't think that it is ever a waste of time when you're in this space, because what you do not learn, other people that are listening do. So I said this repeatedly, and I want to say it again. It is not always about the person on the panel. It's about the other people that are listening to the conversation. And there are people that aren't James and won't get on the panel. And so he provides an opportunity for other people to learn. So I'm always grateful for that. We meet tonight. Project for the People meets tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The rest of my day is really fucking crazy. The girls have orientation. I have to take my daughter to the dentist. I have to come back and get ready for Project for the People. And I really want to finish this conversation, but I'm not going to be able to right now in this moment. So for everybody that has liked and shared the lives or given gifts, I appreciate that tremendously. I will be live again tomorrow. Of course, James, I don't know what's necessary for you to break through the wall that you have. What I really believe it is, though, is you have to be willing to let go of your ego. And I don't know that that's something that you have a real desire to do. Your ego is the driver in every conversation. Your ego determines how you view life, how you view help, and how you view other people. And that might be difficult for you to hear. I'm just sharing that with you based off of all of the conversations that you and I have had. And outside of you, how what you say, do, and think impacts other people doesn't really sit home. And I'm going to give you just one example. Not only myself, but other people have expressed to you that when you do that laugh that you do, it's dismissive and insulting. And you continue to do it about really serious things. Let me ask you a question, James. Can you give me the letters that represent the gay, queer, bi, and trans community? Can you give me the letters that represent that community?
LBQT. Is that right?
Nope.
It's closer.
LGBTQ plus.
Okay, LG.
Even if you don't get IA. And so we talked about this the other day, right?
And I listened.
Yep. And so let me say it again. LGBTQ. 5 letters. I believe that an educator, a retired educator, can memorize 5 letters if he truly desires to.
And I tried.
And I don't believe that it takes that long to do so. The other day, exactly. And so for me, it just depends on if it's a priority. So I'm just saying.
Okay.
Anyway. So that would be it. You failed class today, James.
Okay,
You need to do some more homework. Thank you all for hitting 500K. I literally appreciate all of you all. Elle, Hazel Arts, James, appreciate you all. Love you, mean it. And I have to see you all later. I got to get these kiddos out of here. Okay.
Thank you again.
Yeah.